Coming to you live from the Hellmouth. It's the Popular Cinema Podcast. I'm your co-host Payne,
And I'm Bill.
and welcome to episode 64.
How popular can it be if we only have 4 listeners? That's my question. Maybe we should just call
I,
it the
I don't
unpopular
think that
podcast.
popular refers to the
Us,
number of listeners that we have.
right? It refers to the kinds of movies we cover, right? Because if it was us, we'd have to call it the unpopular cinema podcast.
I mean, is there any chance we could change it to the obscure movie,
But it's
popular?
not. But they're not really obscure movies
And the reason why we can't do obscure is because you're resistant to
because
obscure.
nobody cares. That's why nobody cares.
How are you doing, my friend, on this Sunday afternoon?
I'm fine. Just getting ready to, get down to the last evening before having to go back to work. That's always a downer. But other than that, I'm okay.
Yeah, I hear you. There's just always so much going on. Did you do anything interesting this weekend?
I did not. I was solo for much of the weekend, so I just watched a lot of my Last Jedi Blu-ray extras, which, by the way, it's taken me like a week and a half to get through because there's just so many. I love it.
So,
We're going to talk about this a little bit because I have some thoughts on the whole extras on Blu-rays situation.
okay, I'm going to write that actually down so we don't forget it. Extras
And
on
yourself, are
Blu-rays.
you still packing up Shea Payne over there?
Yeah, I
Ready to
was just
take it
out
on the
there
road?
working in the garage. It's just so difficult. Part of it is you kind of want to do a garage sale, but I just don't have the patience. And I just taking up the stuff and donate it. And since Trump got away the charitable deduction, I think I told you, now
Mhm.
I'm just taking stuff and donating and not getting anything in return. Not that I don't believe in charity
Yeah,
in
you know what you're
general.
getting in return? Good karma. That's what you're getting. I
And the
think
place
that could be, an actual asset.
and the place I go to, they're always so nice when I pull up, when my tires go over the cord, they come out with a big bin and I go this, and they go, "Thank you, sir. Thank you." And hey, you have a good day. Would you like a coupon? I'm like, "Yeah, sure, give me one." So I can go rebuy my stuff at a higher price than what I'm giving it to you right now. But okay,
Really.
that's cool. Yeah, thanks.
So do the people come out from the dock and take your stuff out of the car and take it in?
Yes.
Have you ever noticed a theme with the people that work at the donation center at all, or
A theme.
no? A
No, I
theme?
have not. What's the very nice people?
Well, okay, we'll call them very nice people.
I mean, I appreciate the greeting, the hello, and sir. I go like this.
Yeah.
Will you take this? And they go like this. Absolutely, sir. I go. That's great. I'm glad it'll find a good home.
Do they go absolutely, sir, or do they go absolutely, sir?
This is why we're not popular. Okay? This is why we're not popular because you say some things like this, which would makes us lose sponsorship right there. And if anybody listening to us, they'd be writing emails going like this. I'm very hurt by this.
I know, but it's like the people over there at my geriatric Kroger's around the corner. Like, they have a specific, it seems like, qualification for bagging positions in that store. And if you don't meet their very stringent requirements, by very stringent, I mean not at all, then you just can't work as a bagger there. It's like a type. And it reminds me of those people at the pickup center sometimes.
I can't with you. I did try to sell another item, Chris's chair on that Let It Go or Let Go app,
Right.
and the person was communicating with me, and then I had to eventually. The end of the story is I reported the person as a scammer as well as suspicious behavior
Why?
because she's selling a chair. The chair is like some sort of Broyhill armchair. It's like for $20. So
Okay.
the person goes, like, can you bring it over to us, or can we come and get it? I'm like, yes. And then the person goes, you know what? I can't come and get it. Can you bring it to us? We'll give you 40 for it. I said, sure. Okay, I guess we'll find a way to bring it to you, but can't bring it to you tonight. We'll bring it to you tomorrow. Person seemed very disappointed. And next thing you know, they contact me in the morning. I contact them and go, all right, how about this afternoon? And the person goes, well, I'm pregnant and I won't be able to lift it, so you'll have to carry it. And by the way, my husband left, and so no, I no longer have the $40. All I have is 20. So I said, okay. So eventually, this conversation goes on, and I go, well, I'll bring it. Um, where am I going with this story? Anyway, Bill, bottom line is I said, well, bring it, give me your address, and do you have any steps? So I know how many steps I have to navigate bringing this chair over. And the person goes, finally says, um, well, what about a different item? And I go, wait a second, I thought you were just interested in the chair. They go, what about this item? I go, you can have that item too. I'll throw it in for free. Where's your address? And the person goes, never mind. Just drop this off at 48th and some other street. They just gave me an intersection. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry.
And
They gave so I pull up the intersection on Google Maps, and at this intersection, there's nothing but boarded up houses, some like shady, shut down factory area. Either way, it's a place where it looks like you might get your liver taken out, or maybe shot and or robbed.
did they show up to get the chair?
I did not take the chair there. What are you nuts?
What do you
You-
mean?
Did you drop off items at intersections?
If
I
somebody's
mean,
waiting for me with cash, I'll drop it off anywhere. I don't care. Sure.
up here in the
I'd
216.
actually rather drop it off at an intersection, to be honest with you, or in a public place of some kind than go to their house anyway. Because how do you know that, like, when you're putting the chair down in their living room, that they're not standing behind you with some kind of hammer, ready to drag your unconscious body downstairs so they can, like, feed you to the rats? How do you know?
I find that in most of these transactions, and I've done like 5 or 6 over the past couple of weeks, you have to make a judgment call when you see the person. Now, I, as a male, there's a sense of confidence that I seem to have in terms of like, I think I can handle the situation if something pops up. Like when a woman shows up, I don't anticipate that she's going to have some sort of like taser gun and tase me and then
Right,
drag me
and that's
down.
what she's counting on. So your big dumb ass gets fucking tased and then fucking raped in the basement, and then she lets the rats eat at your eyes. Because she knows you think you're just a big strong man. She's not gonna do nothing to you.
You know what? This is what life is. You're just sitting there just trying to make an assessment. I mean, I had another guy showed up who looked like a biker guy who had tattoos up and down his arms, but he was wearing a coat that had like a several patches on it. One of them was The Walking Dead, Voltron, The Punisher. And so you're trying to go like, huh, well, here we go. But luckily Chris was over.
What the hell's she gonna do? She weighs like 10 pounds.
Well, I mean, somebody can maybe hit the 911 real quick. I mean, just start firing up. Fire up the 9 and the 1.
Wow.
Either
Okay, so
way,
you're
Bill,
basically having people traipse in and out of your home as well as traipsing in and out of other people's homes to clear your shit out of your house. Is that how we're
li-
going?
listen, it's been going well so far until this incident of dropping it off at the intersection.
So
Mind you,
wait,
don't
I don't. Why didn't you go and do the intersection thing? Like
because
what?
because the person just stopped responding. They essentially would not answer my questions. You
What
know,
questions do you have? Do you have cash?
well,
What?
when I asked their phone, they gave their phone number, and I call the phone number, and then it goes to this like voicemail, but there's no personalized voicemail. It's just like the Nextel user you received. And so then when I contact them and said, I just tried to call your phone number, but you didn't answer. I'm looking for your address. It just starts getting suspicious. Like, what's wrong? You've been wanting me to drop off this chair, but now you're getting all like
Yeah,
cold
because
feet.
she's getting a little nervous that you're going to drop off the chair and then tie her up and rape her. That's why.
Bill, I have verified reviews. Okay?
Big deal.
Verified. Certified fresh, Bill.
I think the whole thing is just shady and it's just, risky and more risk involved than probably it's worth just to get rid of the fucking chairs.
You know what? And that's what's happening right now. I'm going up after this podcast and just dropping stuff off. I'm tired. I'm getting tired.
Or you could
Anyway,
just have a garage sale, and then people can come in and offer you a quarter for your shit, and you can stare them down. That's what I do. That's what I do.
I
I like it when they come in like, this is a quarter. Will you take 10 cents? No, get out of my driveway. But
I,
with a garage sale, yeah, I'll put it in the house before I'll give it to you for a time.
I
It's
yeah,
expensive.
I can't. I just can't. I can't just take a rake over there and put a little sticker on it and have somebody look at me and go, "I'll give you 50 cents." I can't. I can't.
Why don't you have your girlfriend do it?
Well, yeah, she's up for doing it, but I have to take my junk over there and put it there. It's like transporting the shit around. I just rather get rid of it. That's what
Okay,
it's
but
so
I
sad.
mean, you could make like $5, or you can make $0. You decide.
Well, I did take some books over to half price books, and they did give me for you remember the comic book, what was it, the DC series where they did the New 52?
Oh, is that what I gave you for Christmas?
You did not give that to me for Christmas. I bought those individual comics on my own.
Right.
So I took all 52 issues up to half price books with my encyclopedia of horror book, as well as the Manchurian Candidate DVD, along with Excalibur. And they gave me for 53 books and two DVDs $6.70.
Why didn't you just keep the shit? I mean, it's almost more gas money to drive over there than it is that you get from selling it.
You're right. And I want you to know after I got the $6.70, I got back in the car with Chris. We went to Giant Eagle, got some groceries, and on the way out, they were selling hot dogs. Guess how much the hot dogs were?
$6.72.
$2 a piece. We got three hot dogs. I gave them $6. I had 70 cents in my pocket.
Don't you
There you
feel
go.
a certain way about that? Like those new 52 issues, that was like a seminal moment in DC's publishing history.
I don't really recall it that way. Those books sucked. That's why I had no problem getting rid of them.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, it was like a relaunch, right? I mean, since then they've already relaunched after the relaunch, but I'm just saying that was
Yeah,
like a
they do
big
a
relaunch.
relaunch every time the sun rises, Bill. That's everybody's relaunching. Everybody's recreating new universes all the time.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get into some sort of like Black Panther stuff. There's a lot going on with this Black Panther here.
Is there?
Oh yeah, there is. There is. Even superfan Melissa's been contacting me on the side with the Black Panther news.
What about it?
Well, apparently it's past Titanic.
Yeah, so it's number 3.
It's up to number 3. So it's got in its sights Avatar and The Force Awakens. How do you
Right.
feel about Black Panther being number 3 movie over Titanic?
I think it's
Shocker.
ridiculous.
You know, what's fascinating to me is I just want to pull up our old podcast and just, I mean, we were concerned. I
Sure.
was deeply
We've
concerned
talked
that this
about this
movie was going to
before.
make like 10 cents.
Yeah, we've talked about it. It's a phenomenon. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, it's good to know at least something somewhere somehow can still be a phenomenon at the movie theater. That's the
Yeah.
best thing I take out of this situation is that these things can still come out of the blue and surprise everybody.
Did you see T'Challa on Saturday Night Live?
I watched a clip which was actually pretty funny. I thought when he was doing Black Jeopardy.
Black Jeopardy? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
that was actually funny because that's actually how his character, super stiff and all that. So
I
I mean, to see
watched.
him sort of poke fun of it, since that was really a big issue of mine with the whole movie, I did appreciate that.
Oh yeah, I laughed my ass off with Black Jeopardy. That's very funny. Very funny.
Yes.
So is this Karen girl? Is she white? And is she bringing potato salad to the party? I get it. It's unseasoned, and so oh hell no, we don't want your potato salad.
It didn't translate quite as well with your retelling, but it is actually pretty funny. No.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I didn't see
That's
the opening monologue. I just saw that skit. Was the monologue okay?
I didn't watch it. You know, part of it is I don't watch Saturday Night Live as I should. Sometimes I just watch the next day's certain skits.
Right.
and Black Jeopardy is a skit that I do enjoy, so I
Okay.
put that on there. And I didn't watch the opening monologue, but I think what's his name dresses up as Panthro from Thundercats.
Okay.
So I may give it a glance or two. But the other Black Panther news, which I was aware of, but Superfan Melissa likes to point out that it's opening. I'm sure I sent this article to you that Saudi Arabia will be opening the first film in over 35 years, and it's going to be Black Panther.
Okay.
They have built a new cinema bill with 500 leather seats, orchestra and balcony levels, as well as marble bathrooms. And let's see here. What else do they have here? It's going to be in their financial district, and they're very excited about showing in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Black Panther. First
What
film in
is it
35 years.
about Black Panther that has Saudi Arabia so excited?
Well, I put Melissa. Well, I think she kind of said to me that whoever their king is or their prince is getting involved in the movie business.
Hmm.
And so they're opening up the doors. And so if he's kind of getting his feet wet and building theaters and cinema and whatever else like that, acquiring something, what better place to start than with a number one phenomenon movie of Black Panther? I don't know. I have her looking into those details. Um, but what I would really like to know is she pointed out, like, these women are just driving over there now. They just got permission to drive.
Hmm.
It's interesting to be showing Black Panther. Will they be editing it out? Because, a substantial part of the movie is these women are like independent and strong.
Well,
And you actually
I
you
don't know if
actually
I'd
have
call
situ
them independent. I mean, they do serve
what do
a king, so
well, they
they're
serve a
servants.
king, but would you understand that these women aren't allowed to drive? These women are like his honor guard,
Oh,
Bill.
right. You're talking about when Shuri's, doing the little like video game driving thing and all that. Yeah. Okay.
They're doing all sorts of things in there. What are you talking about?
I mean,
You actually have the one woman defying her husband.
who?
Michonne,
Who's her husband?
the guy with the rhinos.
That's her. Are you sure that's her husband?
In the movie, Bill.
Yeah, I know. In the movie, I don't recall that scene, but okay.
What are you talking about? He was going all bad. He was going all with the other guy.
Right.
And then she turns on him and goes, I'm going to stick with the side of the Black Panther while he goes on to the other side.
Right. Because wasn't he on Black Panther's side to begin with, and he was sort of like a traitor?
Did you not watch the movie?
It was months ago. It didn't really make that great of a big impression on me, I guess.
Yes. So you have a woman defying her husband. I think in a culture where the women seem to be a little bit below that, I don't know if showing this would be necessarily the best thing.
It's fine. I'm just saying they are servants of the king. They are like the king's bodyguards. They're not exactly independent women. I mean, they might be a little sassy, but they're not exactly running their own countries. That's all I'm
I, I
saying.
I'm not going to get hung up on this, but it's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the women are walking around in burqas, covered head to toe, and not allowed to drive a car. And you're saying just because they serve a king, that the women in Black Panther are just on the same level
I'm not
as.
saying they're on the same
I mean,
level.
it's just. Are you serious with that?
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying that I don't think that they're self-sufficient and standing on their own. They serve.
everybody serves underneath the king.
Well, okay. Well, these women certainly do. So does
These
that
women
make
have a
them
lot more responsibility.
okay? Yeah, they're cannon fodder, but okay.
Wow. This is just I can't have this conversation. This is why I'm going to have to bring on Melissa. This is why I have to bring her on.
Look, I don't know why you're surprised by any of these reactions of mine. As you know, this is not a favorite movie of mine, and I think it is way overrated.
Anyway,
So
I guess my point of the matter is for different cultures and for different countries like China and Saudi Arabia, I'm curious how they take certain movies that necessarily go against
their
what they
culture.
preach, and do they edit them out? Like, is Black Panther going to be fully shown, or do they edit out the scenes where, quote, these women are being sassy, where they're less sassy? Are they less back talky? or maybe they don't even drive in the film. Do they edit them out and sanitize them? And like, I would like to see a cut of Black Panther in Saudi Arabia. Like, if the Black Panther is 2 hours and 15 minutes, and if I found out the Saudi Arabia version was only like an hour and 45 minutes, I like to see that. I'm just curious. I'm
I
curious.
I hear you.
You know, does Russia edit out Captain America movies so it's just like Captain Russia? How does it play? I'm
They
just
call
curious.
him Captain Red, and
Captain
they changed
Red.
the colors. They put a swastika on his shield.
Okay. All right. Moving on with you. I mean, so do you
I'm
know what the
sorry, this is just not all that exciting to me as news, to be honest.
Of course not. Of course not. We have to get to something else that's going to like tickle your balls, but that's okay.
I'm sorry, it just doesn't float my boat. Nothing about this movie floats my boat.
Do you know what the number one rented movie of 2017 was? I'll give you a hint. It stars your boy Ben Affleck.
I'm going to say Justice League
Oh, didn't Justice League just come out on video?
came out in 2017. Oh, it came out on video. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant movie that came out in 2017
I said most rented movie, not
of 2017. I don't know. What else was Ben Affleck in?
The Accountant.
Really? I forgot all about it.
Yeah, they're
Why
going to
is
be
it so-
doing it. They're going to be doing an Accountant too, by the way. But
is Ben
apparently,
Affleck in it?
I don't know. Well, based on what he seems to be doing, he better be in it because if he's too good for Justice League or any other type of Batman movie, then he better be doing something else to make cash.
Why is that movie so popular on video? I wonder.
Well, it's like I think for me, you know what? I don't know why. I can speak for myself. On a Friday night, The Accountant is the exact movie I want to watch
Why?
because it's like an action film. It seems like it's got a cool premise. I understand it's not some sort of huge blockbuster Pirates of the Caribbean thing, but it's one of those strikes back to the old days of like, the cliffhanger movie or Rambo. Just something kind of simple, something mindless, but something still interesting.
So it's an action movie then? Because
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
say the word accountant, I don't actually necessarily think of it as an action movie.
It's an action movie, Bill.
Okay.
He's like a Jason Bourne, but he's like an idiot savant with mathematics.
Okay.
But he can like disarm you like he's the fucking Matrix and shit. But he's like got some sort of autism.
Okay.
Take it like a Lucy film, if you will. Whatever it is, you got some guy doing some sort of extraordinary shit, beating up somebody else, but he plays a nerd, an accountant. Whatever, it's simple. But like we say before, like on a Friday night when I come home and then I want to watch a film, do I want to watch something called I don't know, steroids in America? The documentary, or do
Mhm.
I want to watch The Accountant, something simple and fun? I
Well,
don't know. It
apparently.
makes sense to me. It makes sense to me.
Well, I didn't recall it being a big smash at the box office, so I guess at least it's going to make some money back then.
Well, yeah, but I think the point of this, you don't have this article in front of you, but it's the point is that people are still renting out certain movies, and even though it might not somehow make like $5 billion, it's still finding a home for people on a weekend.
Are they renting the disc, or is it more like renting it from? You can't really rent. Can
Here's the line. It seems that even in the era where thousands upon thousands of films are available to stream on platforms like Netflix, audience will still go out of their way to rent a Affleck action flick. I am one of those people, Bill.
so? How long are you going to keep your disc end of the service for Netflix? Are you going to keep doing it as long as
Until
they
they
only
start
have?
putting all the discs that I get onto streaming, that's how long I'll be keeping my disc service.
Okay.
I mean, if you told me that the movies that I get on disc are going to be on streaming, then I'll stop the disc. But they're not doing that. So what am I supposed to do? I'm only supposed to watch what they put out on streaming, which is going to be limited. I
Well,
don't want to be limited, Bill.
it's for now. It's limited, but it won't be like that forever.
Well, then I'll get rid of the disc. I'm not wed to watching disc. I would rather have the shit streaming, but I can't get everything on streaming.
Do you notice a difference in video quality between the streams and the discs when you put them in?
What makes you think I would notice that when you've come over to my house and I had standard def on one time on my DVR?
Oh, let's act like it was one time. Um, so I just wonder, like, if you happen to
No.
notice. Okay.
No, I don't notice any difference in quality between. By the way, these aren't Blu-ray discs, so they're just
Oh, I know.
standard disc
As
and
if.
streaming. Haven't noticed it.
Now, since you have a 60-inch high definition television and you have a PlayStation 4 that allows you to play Blu-rays, why would you explain to the audience and the listeners, do you still rent DVDs instead of Blu-rays?
It's because I'm cheap.
And what is the price differential between the Blu-ray service and the DVD service?
Well, if I go to Redbox, let's just see. It's been a while since I've been to Redbox, but I believe it cost me $1.62 to rent a movie. That's a regular DVD, and if I go for the Blu-ray, it costs me $2.16.
So the difference is like 50 cents. Really?
Bill, this is the difference between a spender and a saver. I am a saver, and you are a spender.
I mean, it's like I was saying before about Blu-rays. It's like driving a Ferrari in first gear. Why would you have all the equipment and not take advantage of it? Because you're trying to save 50 cents.
Yes.
In which case, you could just, have used any old standard DVD player instead of having to upgrade to a Blu-ray player. Of course, you do the gaming, so maybe that's, a difference for you.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I mean, you've shamed me into buying the Blu-ray when you come up. I understand.
Well, why don't you just do it for you? Why do you have to do it just for guests?
Because I don't know if I necessarily see the difference sometimes. I know it's
And this is what we're talking about.
when you put in the Blu-ray, I do sometimes open my mouth and go, "Wow, that looks great." But I forget about it after you leave, and then I just go back to my old ways.
Okay. All right.
Now, maybe it might change if I got a 4K television. Then I might get a little bit snooty and might want to watch everything in a certain level. I don't know.
Well, I have to tell you, 4K is not as much of a leap from Blu-ray to DVD or from DVD to Blu-ray. It's still a leap, but it's not as big of a leap. It's not like from VHS to DVD type difference. And it also depends on what type of content you're playing. If you play 4K content, it's better, obviously, than if you play something that's on cable, which is really only going to be broadcast either at 1080p or 720p, not even 4K most of the time. Netflix
Yeah.
is different, but just standard cable or Hulu or whatever usually is only 1080p.
Every movie, like let's just say every disc that I want to watch, whatever slop I want to watch, is there already corresponding Blu-ray for it?
Um, most likely, since everything on your list is new releases or recent releases, then yes. If you're talking about catalog titles, there's still some stuff that's not on Blu-ray yet, but everything that comes out now on disc is released on Blu-ray. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, it's even harder to get that then. To me, it seems
Oh,
it's
because your
different.
queue, you have to wait in the queue.
Well, where else am I supposed to get it, Bill? Outside of Netflix, Redbox only does. I'm not talking. Redbox does popular movies. Okay,
Sure.
there's some shit that I want to watch that's just not on there. I mean, if you want to do like a top five foreign film, you're not going to find it. Like some Oscar top five nominated movies, Oscars, you're not going to find at the fucking Redbox. So you have to go to a video store. I'm sure the kids don't even know what that is. So where else am I supposed to get it? I'm
Well,
not buying it.
you can rent it? Can't you rent the Blu-ray from Netflix?
Well, I'm saying like yes.
Oh, but because there's more demand for Blu-ray, then it takes longer for it to get up on
It's,
your queue.
it's very it seems it's difficult. I guess I'm supposed to just pay for it now and just have it like what Voodoo directly download it. Is that what I have to do? But that's paying a premium. Do I want to pay $8 to download one movie that I just want to check out? I don't know. The answer
No,
is
no, but I mean, I don't listen. If you don't see a difference between DVD and Blu-ray, then I can't. I can lead you to the water, but I just can't make you drink. So I mean, if it's good enough for you, hey, it's that's good enough for you.
USA Today came out with an article that said more than half, 55% of the US households now subscribe to at least one video streaming service. But it's
Sure.
not just one service. Um, apparently everybody has at least three. The average subscriber now pays for three
Well,
services.
yeah, we have Hulu,
Netflix, go ahead.
Netflix,
Amazon.
and Amazon. Yep.
That's exactly what I have. I have Netflix,
You have
Hulu,
more than that, don't you?
Amazon, HBO Now.
Right.
Um, what else?
There's really only three big services that
Well,
offer like, non-proprietary content.
apparently there are now overall more than 200 streaming services consumers can choose from. Among the recent entries are Filio,
Never heard of it.
a 16 a month service launched in November with more than 30 channels, including AMC, BET, Comedy Central, Discovery Channel, HGTV. There's also Fubo TV. Is that a black television? For us,
Fubu
by us
really?
TV?
I don't know.
Which has grown from a sports centric streaming subscription service launched in 2015 to include more than 70 channels, including local CBS, Fox, and NBC stations. I mean, oh, here we go. Here you go. And next year, a Disney subscription movie service with Disney, Pixar, Lucasfilm, Marvel movies, and original TV series, and a new Fox News channel streaming service called Fox Nation. I mean, this is where we're at now. Everybody's got a streaming service.
Right. So here's the thing with the streaming service. I, here's what I do. When the Blu-rays come out and they have like extra stuff, obviously with Star Wars, it's generally more than most movies give you as far as like bonus materials and stuff like that. Like there's an actual feature-length documentary on the Last Jedi Blu-ray of the making of the movie. So it's like an hour and a half long. They don't really do that on disc anymore very much, or even, streaming movies when they release them. They just don't generally invest that much in kind of like bonus materials. So what I end up doing is I go to like YouTube, and they always have these like little clips or whatever, but they're offered most of the time in 1080p. Some of them are even in 4K, like gag reels, and like there's a bunch of like fan made like videos that are sometimes better than like the trailers that are actually released by the studio. And so I just get a flash drive and I download all the cool shit that is available on YouTube, or that they release little clips here and there. And I just add it to like the bonus material of the Blu-ray, so that way it kind of like gives you more, more stuff than most studios actually give you. But the whole point of me bringing this up is that, like for example, with the Last Jedi Blu-ray, they said that they have over like 18 hours of material, of extra material that they didn't release in that making a video. But with the Disney streaming service, this is one of the things they're looking into, is like providing all that bonus material on the streaming channel. So in essence, you can really make, a network out of like Star Wars bonus material, or, behind the scenes stuff that they've never released on like Blu-ray from like old DVDs or old VHS stuff. Because of course they've been releasing Star Wars videos for, decades. And just like, how cool is that? It's basically programming your own sort of like network with very specific content that you are specifically interested in. I think it's a really great idea. And if they hadn't already sold me on the concept of their channel, telling me that is totally going to buy me. So,
So, based on everything that you said, you're just telling me that some of the bonus content that's not available on the Blu-rays will now be available on their streaming service.
yeah. But as a concept, that could be possibly that could work for Marvel, which, it's really kind of sad the way that the bonus material they release with their DVDs is like barely next to nothing anymore. You don't get like the feature length documentaries or the behind the scenes material that they used to put on DVDs because they're expensive to produce, and I guess studios really don't feel like that they're all that um, attractive to the general audience for people that are going to buy the DVD or Blu-ray or
Yeah,
whatever.
this, of course, this sounds attractive to you. If you're only watching three or four new movies a year, you spend most of your time watching all the fucking content that's not seen in the movie,
Yeah,
how it's made, all the people behind it, all the actors, the casting calls. Here's how we did this scene. That's what you're watching. The
that's
other people
exactly
are
what I
sitting
want.
there going, I have no time. I saw Justice League. Now I'm going to watch 15 other different movies. I don't have time to watch 16 hours of how the Justice League was made.
Right. Which, for people like me, would be perfect. And I understand that most people aren't that into it, but they've got to fill these fucking streaming networks with some kind of content. And it's got to be original. And if they can do it with stuff that, would basically make people subscribe to their network if they're super interested in a particular subject, then I think that's a bonus. It's a win-win.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, well that's great. You didn't need any further incentive. It was already in you've already taken the money out for this service.
Yeah, but you know, I just
So
think.
are we going to end up paying more for all these individual services than cable at the end of the day?
I mean, if they put out, like, let's say, the making of the original Star Wars trilogy and the making of the prequels or whatever, they could charge me whatever they want. I am in.
Well,
So the
well, considering
potential
you
is,
pay for Netflix, I mean, you're already a
wow.
leg.
The potential is, yes, we could end up probably spending more money than we do, but the content will be much more catered to your individual needs because you don't have to buy a service and that service doesn't offer shit you want. Whereas cable, you have to buy the whole fucking thing, or you don't get the channels you do want.
That reminds me, do you have your own modem and router, or do you just rent it from Spectrum or whoever you use down there?
We rent it from Spectrum.
Okay. All right.
Are you
Well,
buying your own modem and router? Of course, because it's going to save you another $3 a month. So I guess that's the route you're going to go next, huh?
I'm sorry. This is one of those long-term bill. Those $3, I can recoup my money back after a year or so.
Do you know how to hook up a router?
No, but Chris has a son that can.
Okay. Well, I
That
mean,
was his suggestion. Apparently, he is a savant when it comes to,
saving money.
what's that?
So saving money.
No, all in terms of computers and stuff like that, and
Okay.
stereo systems and routers, stuff that I used to be good at when I was younger. My mind doesn't work that way anymore. So
Really?
anyway, Superfan Melissa saw Ready Player One this weekend.
And what's her verdict?
He gave it 5 stars.
Is that out of five? That's pretty high.
Yeah, yeah, she had a great time. I
Well,
kind
that's
of gave
cool.
her a spoiler. I asked her if she'd been reading about the movie, and she said yes. And I'm like, well, then I threw something out. And she goes, I didn't hear that.
You said this before she saw the movie.
Yes, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And I said, I'm
Nice.
sorry, but apparently it didn't ruin her time. I haven't just talked with her. I met with her to discuss all the details of it. But she, as well as her husband, enjoyed it. So,
Well, supposedly they are greenlighting Armada already, so it looks like that sequel is a go. And the reason I know that is because there's somebody who is doing something that's involved with the writing of Armada that is also involved in like some other upcoming like cool project. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So now what the hell that is completely slips my mind at the moment. But my point is that Armada is going to get made. So
yeah, I started to listen to that Armada book by Ernest Cline.
right.
Wasn't as fun as Ready Player One for me. So are you going to go see Ready Player One?
I think I'm probably going to wait for the video. I will probably buy the Blu-ray sight unseen.
Can I ask why you're not going out to see Steven Spielberg in your director's collection, Ready Player One? It's not like he's doing War Horse or Bridge of Spies Part Two. This
I
is in your
know
wheelhouse.
it is. I don't like to leave my house. It's really all I got.
Wow.
I mean, I don't really have another excuse.
I gotcha. You just wanted to hole up this weekend, huh? You know what? You got some free time. You wanted to go out and buy your stuff and just barricade yourself in there like a doomsday prepper. That's all you wanted to do.
Uh, yes, listen. I mean, it's becoming more and more obvious to me that if there's no Marvel name or DC name in the title, I don't know if I need to be beaten down the door to go see it. Wake me up when Steven Spielberg does Marvel's Cinematic Universe's X-Men.
Bill, if you can't support the industry
I
and
know.
leave your house to go to the movie,
I know. I know. I'm not saying I'm proud of it, and I probably should have gone to see it, and I probably should go see it. But you know how I get? If I don't go opening weekend, there's like a stink on it. Now there's a stink on it. The stink is it's yesterday's news, and I just can't.
I mean, is that really a stink? I mean, it's not like somehow you've heard bad things about it. It's
No.
getting, it's not like somehow like, oh boy, I don't know about this, and it's just making money just because it's just being popular and it's got the sheep going to see it. I mean, it's one of those things that people are like, hey, it's good, it's fun,
Yeah,
and it's
but
making money.
I'm already behind. It's already had its moment, Jay, and it's kind of missed me. And so now I feel like it's just I'm going to see it at like the Dollar Theater. Oof.
Well, you know, I was going to try to get go to the movies this weekekend. I know
No, I
that's
did not
unheard
know.
of. What?
What were you going to go see? Oh, Quiet
Quiet,
Place.
quiet. Oh
I knew
yeah,
that was going to happen,
oh yeah. So
but
very excited.
you
I'm
didn't
very
make it
excited.
because
Well, no, because I'm hanging with my woman, and I was just like, "Hey, Quiet Place," and she's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's a horror movie," and I know she's into aliens and
Mhm.
stuff, UFOs, that type of genre, X Files. I was like, I think it's about an alien invasion, so it kind of piqued her interest, but she's not really down for the horror, so I just threw it out there. She didn't really bite on it, and then of course she comes to me and said like, "Oh, someone's on Facebook. Some of the people are saying it's really good." But it's still not enough to get her from, out of the seat into the
so
theater.
basically, if she would have said yes, you would have gone. So basically, the only reason you didn't go is because your girlfriend really wasn't into it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, how exactly can you get her into that movie? Like you got to give her a hook that makes her, like you said, like the aliens hook
Well,
or
right.
whatever.
Right. I'd have to probably make the watch the trailer, or then I'd probably have to, if I said I really wanted to go, then she make the effort. And I don't think, um,
But see, it's the same thing. Like, why don't you, this is a movie that's getting critical acclaim. It's made by your favorite people, the Schlockfest Blumhouse folks, and there's really no reason why you didn't go see it, other than the fact that you just didn't. Because if you really wanted to go, your girlfriend would have gone, and if you would have pushed her to go, she would have said yes.
yeah,
So,
but
but you
you don't
didn't.
want to burn your credit on something. You don't want to sit there and then go, and all of a sudden she's kind of looking at you like this is just stupid. You know what I mean? You kind of have to you have to know
But
your
you,
audience.
but
We watched movies with this woman before. You can't
yeah,
throw on a Marvel movie in front of her because
well,
then she's going to be like, "Oh, that's just
no,
unbelievable."
because that's not her genre. But I mean, the
Right.
Quiet Place is like the thinking man's horror movie or whatever.
Right. I don't know if that's necessarily for her either. I mean, I'm just trying to throw a hook out there. It might be an alien in there. I mean, that might not do it. And then half the time, then you're looking at her trying to defend the material. You remember in the green room? You didn't see the green room with what's his name now deceased, the guy who's got hit by the jeep that rolled back on him.
Uh, right.
He's
I know who you're
he's
talking
also
about.
in Star Trek movies. Anyway,
Right.
starring Patrick Stewart, essentially about these young kids playing in a band that show up at some sort of essentially backwater KKK white power community, and they witness a murder, and then they're trying to survive from this Aryan nation people trying to kill them.
Mhm.
Looked very interesting to me, Bill.
Anton Yelchin.
Thank you.
Right.
Um, was looking forward to this. Can't wait. Friday night, I'm watching this movie. I already told my woman she can come over and hang out with me, but I'm watching this movie. So, of
Okay.
course, she starts watching it with me, and it's not as good as I think it is. And then you ever pick up on somebody's energy? It's like you watching Valerian with me. You can
Right.
pick up my energy,
Right.
and it kind of like doesn't necessarily make it as pleasant, even if you're not necessarily enjoying it. It just becomes like, oh, if the other person's not even remotely like accepting of it, then you're just like, oh boy, okay,
Did you turn it off?
no, I had to watch all of it.
So she's giving you like this negative energy, and you're just like, whatever, push through. And so
Oh,
you,
yeah, I don't like to burn up my credit. Before I sit there and recommend something, I got to make sure, like, okay, we're going in on this because I picked some stinkers before.
why don't you do like this? Why don't you do like alternate? This way, everybody gets a little what they want, even if it's not to their cup of tea. So let's say
No,
this time
no.
you go see Quiet Place. Next time she gets to pick, Bad Mom's Christmas or whatever it is she wants to see, and you have to go. But she doesn't really have any movies like that, does she?
Yeah, 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 yeah. You don't give people like that power, Bill. You just don't.
Okay. I'm just
I
trying to get you to like
you,
get.
you can only give that power to people who are like true movie lovers. Then at that point, you're like, okay, fine. But otherwise, they're gonna be like this. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, then do like this. Is there like, some kind of like Doctor Pimple Popper show that she loves that you don't aren't particularly in love with? Is there one of her shows like Sister Wives 2 or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Little people, big world.
Okay, there you go. So like be like, you know what? If you go see, Quiet Place with me, I will watch without complaint the entire season of Little People Big World next time you want to binge.
Would Bill, I don't actually complain about watching those shows actually with her. So
Well, I didn't know that. Is there any show that you complain about that you watch that you don't really want to see?
no, I don't complain.
Okay.
No, I don't complain. I actually just
I
find
can't wait till the cohabitation thing starts. I'm so sick of the two Pollyanna motherfuckers. I don't know what else to do. When
I
you're
don't
like,
complain
this bitch
about
watches one more fucking episode on something on TLC, my head's gonna pop, Bill. It's just gonna pop. That's what I want to hear.
I watch it all. 600-pound live, Dr.
Oh,
Pimple Popper,
so
Little
fucking
People, Big
nasty.
World.
Are you guys gonna watch the new Trading Spaces?
Yeah, I don't think we'll go out of our way to watch it, but if it's on, it'll be watched for sure.
Isn't that the network that it's on? TLC.
Yeah, yeah. When my sister came out, they were running old episodes of that show, and we turned it on.
I think
Um,
we're gonna watch it tonight, maybe.
did
You
you
know,
ever watch it?
yeah, we watched like the first couple seasons, and it got on my last nerve.
Yeah, it's just weird to me sometimes of like actually having people like next door to you and they come in, and the whole idea is they already have a design picked out, and these other people just help them put
Well,
forth
here's
their
the thing.
design.
I think they kind of also the designers do the shit on purpose, where they want to make some shit like fucking, artistic on a dime or whatever it is, and they really want to fuck up people's like feng shui. So I
Yes.
think they do shit like glue sticks on a wall and shit on purpose because they know it's going to create some kind of shit when you walk in the house and you're like, is that sticks hot glued to my wall? Okay. So I think in the end they end up sort of playing it up for the cameras, and it's sort of
Yeah, I got that. I don't think I'm into that game. I don't. I'm not going to come in here and be like, you know what? I want something to be more like a beach cottage theme. Like I want to feel like it's taking me away, and then you come into your room and there's nothing like piles of sand on the floor.
right. It's like they do the shit, or like you go. They ask you like what they ask the people like what kind of style they like and things, and then they do something like completely unrelated to anything they were ever told that these people like, and then they want to act like oh, I did my best. No, you didn't. You did that shit on purpose. You glued alphabet blocks to my fucking ceiling fan just because you were trying to be fucking smartass, and I don't fucking appreciate it. That's how I would behave. I would behave like a straight up Negro if they did some shit like that in my house. I mean, I would just be
They're gonna be like this. Cut the camera. Cut the camera.
I mean, I'd be like, bitch, no, you didn't. So
We were watching. Apparently, there's this one lady on there. They had some episode where she glued hay to the wall.
mhm.
actual hay to the wall. And so when the people
Which
came
really
back,
can't be up to some kind of fire code, right? Because that can't be like fire retardant.
either way, apparently I think some of their kids had asthma, like they were like the hay was, and so they were. I think they might have started crying. They were upset. Either way, apparently it took them several hours, and the producers paid like 15,000 to remove the hay from the walls that they had glued up there.
Right.
Uh, yeah, sometimes I just don't understand that
It's
whatsoever.
because they're just trying to be fucking artsy fartsy and trying to stand out from the crowd and do something, unique and original or whatever. But these are people's homes that you're fucking playing with here, okay? It's not your fucking romper room toy space for you to play with. I have to live in this room. And
Oh,
so I do appreciate when the people are like, no, and they have to go and undo the whole fucking thing.
I would love for Trading Spaces to come down to your little spot, and they'd be like this. So, what does Bill want to do? He wants to like keep his idea of the pop culture and the comic books, and he just wants to accentuate it more and play it up and whatever else. So they're like this. Okay, they're gonna take all your toys out. They take
Uh huh.
all that stuff out, and then just make some sort of like austere walls. Just give you like just gray.
But it's never like that. It's never like some like standard shit that you might see in like some kind of catalog somewhere, which really wouldn't be that terrible most of the time. It's like they get like crayons and melt them on the walls. Okay, then they cover it up with like some paint and then they chip it off with like a knife. And they go, it's called distressed relief. It's very big in New York. Bitch, I will kill you. So yeah, I don't
Uh,
know. We're gonna try it because like I'm a firm believer in like burner shows. Like we like to start off our evening watching TV with like a burner show. These are shows that I like to eat dinner over because we usually eat dinner in front of the TV with our TV trays like old people. Um, and it's I like to watch a show that you don't really necessarily have to pay attention to the plot or the machinations of
yeah,
what's actually
yeah, I got
happening while you're eating dinner, and it's just like whatever. Who cares if this show's on or not? But it's just something to watch. So we're in need of another burner show because right now all we have is like really the only show that we watch like the Doctor Pimple Popper level of like concentration required is like RuPaul's Drag Race. So we'll give Trading Spaces a shot and see if it still is as irritating as it used to be. I think it's
Okay.
alternate. So
So what's going on with Amazon? I know you sent me some articles. I know we talked about it for the past episodes, but it looks like more and more information has come about at this Lord of the Rings TV show at Amazon. It's looking like a 5-year commitment,
yeah,
at
they
least
are spending
$1 billion.
up to
Peter Jackson,
$1 billion.
maybe.
They paid
Go
250 million just for the rights, and then however you want to break that down over 5 seasons, that's quite an investment actually. Which is the kind of shit we were talking about. I want to see TV ascend to that level. Like I want it. If you're going to make Lord of the Rings, I don't want you to do it on some kind of sci-fi network budget. Listen, Krypton visually, I would say is a step above most TV shows on Sci-Fi Network. Too bad the fucking script writing sucks ass and the show is boring as fuck. But if you just looked at it, it looks like, they've invested a couple of dollars in it, which, I appreciate that. But I mean, even above that, I mean, I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but from all I hear, it's a very visually spectacular production and it's very expensive. And you can kind of tell that they spend a lot of money on it. That's what I want. I want a show in which, fucking Tolkien's Middle Earth looks like it did in the movies. I don't want it on a shoestring budget, and I don't want it with like, no orcs or they have to reuse the armor for like 20 different people because that's all they have is like one battle suit.
You know, that's great. I don't know if I necessarily need all that. It's great that they have 50 extra uniforms and they did some extra stitching. They got Chanel to come in and whatever else, Vera Wang.
Yeah,
That's
Coco Chanel's been dead for about 60 years, but
okay. Listen, that's great. But what I need them to focus on is good storytelling. I mean, can we take some of the $100 million or whatever, how much left over, and actually put it towards the actual content, the writing, and the story? I mean, that's key. I mean, there's a lot of Game of Thrones people that tried to come afterwards, and their stories have fallen flat. There's what is that, Britannia on Amazon. You also have that Shannara Chronicles. There's always some crap of somebody trying to run some imitation. It falls flat because the story's just terrible. So, I
Listen, the
mean,
danger they run into here, for me, is that it's not going to concern the time frame, from what I understand, between the Hobbit. I mean, the time frame during the Lord of the Rings. It's going to be either between the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, or maybe even pre-Hobbit, maybe hundreds of years pre-Hobbit, for all we know. The issue becomes for me then, how fascinating are these dribs and drabs of story nuggets that they're going to be pulling from appendices of J.R.R. Tolkien or other books that he's written. I assume perhaps the Silmarillion might be something that's involved in that, in the rights to this show. I don't know for a fact. But essentially, it's a prequel to a prequel. And once you get so far removed from the actual subject matter that we're familiar with, does it still hold up? This is an example of like Krypton that we're talking about earlier. I don't really give a fuck about Superman's grandfather. I have to understand how it is somehow connected to Superman for me to even care. Because that I'm watching a show called Krypton. Obviously, they're going to evoke the name Superman in there because that's what the story and the myth is based on. But then to have it so far removed from the actual character that the show is based on feels like a cash grab. I don't really have this issue a lot, and I know that you've spoken about it many times before, but it feels like they're raping the intellectual property of Superman by making this show really basically riding on the goodwill that they've given, people who are Superman fans. And I don't want that to sort of happen to Lord of the Rings, where it's so far removed from anything that I know about Middle Earth because it's so many hundreds of years or whatever in the past or what have you, that I don't really recognize anything that made me love that story in the first place.
there you go. So whatever writer they get or whatever plot or story they're trying to do, it needs to be on point.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they. I mean, Aragorn. I mean, he's, what do you call it? An Undun or whatever those people are that live like hundreds of years.
Yeah,
Obviously, the elves are immortal.
The Dodorians, whatever, something like that.
Dunedain,
Yes.
whatever.
Duodine.
Um,
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, the elves obviously are immortal, so they can have characters or that. I mean, I highly doubt that they will probably get, you know, um, who's the guy that played Aragorn?
Oh, what's his name? It slips my mind. I'm not even gonna
Yeah,
look it up.
or probably not Liv Tyler or um, Jesus Christ, I'm bad with names today.
Legolas,
Orlando Bloom.
Lee Pace,
Well, I don't know if they really want Lee Pace, but
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving. Here we go. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't even know if it's going to be the same characters. I mean, hearing Peter Jackson coming on board as a producer is definitely a plus for me because I want him involved in some aspect because he basically blew it out of the box with creating Middle Earth as a world that I became completely entranced with during the release of those films, up to and including the three Hobbit movies. So I do want Peter involved somehow. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. I'm super excited about the budget. I'm super excited about the possibility of 5 seasons. I just want it to be relevant and not just derivative. And that's always, I think, the danger when they sort of go back to the well with these things.
So when people say they have a 5-year commitment, what
Five
does that?
seasons, whatever that means.
What's that?
5 seasons,
Yeah, yeah. Five. I'm sorry, 5-season commitment.
right?
Does that mean that if it tanks really bad after the first season, that they're still going to push through?
I think that's what it means. I mean, I mean, listen, you know,
I mean, as a writer on the story, it'd be confident.
Netflix.
It gives you like this sense of confidence that we can really like put forth a great story. We got 5 seasons to make this happen, which gives me a lot of pressure. But I hope that doesn't result in some sort of like pedestrian storytelling. These are the types
I
of
think they feel
things.
like the intellectual property is so. Um, the movies made over $2 billion. I think all told, or all three for each one, or I'm not sure how exactly they break that
Okay.
down. But I think it's one of those highly. Um, I think it's one of those things that's too big to fail, in their opinion. Maybe like it's almost impossible that that would happen. Like if you release a Star Wars live action TV show, are you really going to worry about whether it's and the fact that it's not on commercial television is also another issue. That's probably better for. I mean, how does Netflix measure success? I mean, almost every until like well last year, almost every single show that Netflix ever did got renewed. Now they're obviously starting to feel the burn a little bit, and they're starting to cancel shit. But for the first few seasons of stuff, everything they did just was like automatic renewal. And how do they justify that? Well, maybe they justify it because I mean they have to have content for their network. So I think it's a different situation than it is with commercial networks. That they have to have ratings. I think there's other things maybe that they can generate interest in people getting Prime subscriptions, or they bundle it with like you know get two free episodes of Lord of the Rings series if you buy this on Amazon or whatever. I mean, I'm sure there's a way that they could probably not lose their shirt over it if it isn't as successful as they think it will be. Um,
Okay.
but I mean, it's probably the most exciting news outside of hearing that. I mean, they already said there's going to be a live action Star Wars show, but how many years we are away from that? There's no real development about it.
Yeah.
So,
When is the Lord of the Rings set to drop?
um, here's the thing:
2020.
their deal is contingent upon them getting started in production within 2 years. So they have to. If they don't, they lose the rights. So it has to be between now and 2021.
Okay. All right. Well, let's try to avoid getting hit by a truck or a car.
I mean, we've still got another Star Wars movie in the current trilogy to come. Then, of course, there's the whole new trilogy. And
So
listen, we're
what's the
looking at.
deal? You sent me an article on it. More information is being revealed about Aaron Einreich. Einreich for Solo the movie. More behind the scenes shit.
Well, there's a trailer going to be dropping tonight, by the way. The new Han Solo
What?
trailer tonight on American Idol.
Do I need to really watch another trailer? I'm already
Well,
in.
I
I mean, what
gotta
the
tell you,
fuck?
I'm not. I'm not in particularly in love with the original trailer of
Oh,
Han
so you
Solo.
need to watch it then and see if it makes you feel better about the
I
movie
do.
then. Okay.
I'm looking forward to it because I need something to get me excited about this movie.
I understand multiple trailer viewing if you're not on board. I'm on board with Solo. I do like hearing the stories behind the scenes of him not being able to act, other shit going
Oh, you're
on.
talking about the sort of scuttlebutt about the I forget who it was that did an article that said, oh, there was another article this week too, by the way, that said it wasn't Han Solo. Oh, it was about the guy who did Rogue One. And this actually sort of gave me,
No, I saw that article that it was a mess.
yeah, the movie was a hot mess. And before he came in to do his rewrites, that the movie was just going to fall apart. And, he came in and did the rewrites. And he said, well, I did it because I wasn't precious about Star Wars because I'm not a Star Wars fan. So I just wrote the best movie I could do, you know, um, whatever, whatever, whatever. I loved Rogue One. How it came out is not really relevant to me. The fact that it almost was a disaster or almost wasn't a disaster doesn't matter to me. What I got, I love. So it does give me hope that a movie that's had trouble during its production, the same way that Rogue One did, can end up delighting me in the same way that Rogue One did. So I
Like
do.
you about my relationship, I still find that you're very Pollyannic about this whole shit anyway.
What does
I mean,
that mean? What do you
There's
mean?
about a 3 or 4 before they finally just start like rubbing your face in it. But right now, you're giving them a pass.
I'm not giving
You're
them a pass. Are you talking about Han Solo?
no, I'm talking about most of the Star Wars movies that have come out.
I don't give them a pass, bitch.
I know. All right, fine. That's my opinion. I understand you love it and you don't consider it, but I feel that this is just a moment that even if some sort of production or whatever else, you'll gloss over it. You're like, that's not a big deal to me. It's fine. It's not a
if the
big deal to you
movie
now.
if the movie doesn't delight me, Jay, I'll be the first person to come outside the movie theater and be like, eh, didn't really do it for me. Is there a
Yeah.
chance, based on what I've seen of the trailer, that Han Solo will be that movie for me? I'm absolutely feeling there's a chance of that. That this will be the first Disney era Star Wars film that I'm not completely in love with. It could happen.
I just don't see it. I just
Well,
don't.
I mean,
We'll
listen,
find out. Sure, we'll find out soon enough.
I didn't give Rebels a pass, the cartoon that was on for 5 seasons that I tried to love and complained to you many times over the
I know
last
you're
5 years.
always one of these people that always have to have one of those Steven Spielberg always to say I don't like everyone. You always have to give you some sort of like credence to your opinion that you're not like sucking them off for every movie that they do. You always have one in the background. Nobody cares about always, and nobody cares about your rebels. But you're not picking out the big stuff. You're not pulling out the
No, because
the
so
counters
far,
or ET. You're
no,
not pulling out
because so
those.
far the big stuff has delighted me. So far, the big stuff has not disappointed me.
So the bottom line is for you these stories, these scuttlebutts as you say regarding the labor production of these films, it's like the making of hot dogs. You don't really care, what goes into it, as long as at the end it tastes good for you.
Of course, I mean, of course not. I mean, what? Why would I? If I don't like the movie, then I might be able to say, well, here's why this didn't work or whatever because they, kind of messed up this or whatever. I don't know. That will all be dependent upon what happens when I come out of the movie. But if the movie is, giving me what I want from the movie, then I really don't care, like you
I
said, how it happened.
I can tell you right now what this is similar to. I find that what Star Wars is going through at the early stages, it's comparable to DC for me.
Are you
Now,
kidding?
I am not kidding.
What
Now,
do
hear
you
me out.
mean? Because
Let me
out
hear
of
me
the
hear,
three,
hear,
okay, but I will.
no,
But just out of the
let me
three Disney era Star Wars movies that have
let,
been released since they bought the company, which one do you feel doesn't live up to what your standard of Star Wars should be? Because I was with you at each one of those movies, and each one, when we came out of them, you did not have this particular sense of disappointment, or
let
that you
me
didn't share with me.
no, no. Hear me out, Bill. I'm not going to get into my opinion as to the films or the quality of them. My comparison with DC is that they're running early on. It necessarily hasn't resulted in box office disappointment, but what you're having a lot of behind the scenes shit that gets released for them. It hasn't hit them in the numbers yet, but we've got to get rid of this person here. It didn't work out. We have to bring in this guy to do this. By the way, this person can't act. Oh my, this shit was a mess. All these things pop up for them early on, which is to me reminds me of DC. Always some sort of trouble going on behind the scenes and trying to get their shit up and running. Star Wars is being able to somehow fend off this and get the numbers, but eventually this shit's going to start catching up with them because they seem to be having lots of trouble behind the scenes, which, by the way, you don't have with Marvel. You don't have it. And for all what you want to say about Kathleen Kennedy, I understand that the movies are enjoyable for you, but it seems that there's a lot more shit that's going on behind the scenes that seems to be troublesome.
Do you use condoms when you're giving Kevin Feige blowjobs, or do you just go raw? You just want the taste of that raw skin in your mouth.
It's an observation, Bill. It's an observation.
Okay, so here's the thing.
It's not about the quality or enjoyment. You see
Who
a lot of shit
cares?
going on behind the scenes
Right.
that should not be.
Now,
That's out there in the
of
ether.
all of the productions that have been released from Disney/Star Wars, we have Rogue One, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and Han Solo. Okay? Of those 4 films, the only one that really didn't have a whole lot of behind the scenes turmoil is the one that's liked the least and is the most controversial of all of them. That would be The Last Jedi. And from Ryan Johnson, because Disney was so pleased with what they got from him, despite the fan outrage of this movie, which I don't understand, but I know exists, um, they gave him another trilogy, which they've already given him, complete creative control over the content of. So I guess what I'm saying is the messier doesn't always necessarily mean that it's always going to please. If it's not messy behind the scenes, it doesn't always mean it's going to please everybody. If it's a
I'm saying
smooth
that's
production, it
I'm
doesn't
saying that's going to
necessarily.
start to catch up with them. It's going
Well,
to start to catch up with them.
if you look at it through a certain point of view, you could almost say it's already caught up to them, except for the fact, like I said, that the movie that's the most fan divisive is the one that was the smoothest actual physical production. Um, and I will say this: the only failure I feel like for Disney right now with Star Wars is I do feel like they had a lot of goodwill built up from The Force Awakens. Everybody was back on the same page, generally speaking, that Star Wars was back and we are all in, and this is what we missed from the prequels, yada, 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 yada. Now, with the controversy of The Last Jedi and with the derisiveness and divisiveness, and people are very passionate about not liking this movie, and some people are very passionate about liking this movie. The failure for Disney with this situation for me is that they were not able to capitalize on the goodwill created by The Force Awakens as I had hoped they would be able to get, the fan base united again behind the franchise. Now, having said that, they do or did use this platform, this film, to push Star Wars forward in a direction that maybe I didn't see coming. A lot of people don't like, but I do think it is looking forward to a time when they will be able to incorporate various ideas outside of what we already know as established to be Star Wars. That's basically the Skywalker family. I'm not a fan, as you know, and we've discussed this past week, of the whole idea that Rey is not related to Skywalker. And when we originally walked out of The Force Awakens, I said to you, she has got to be a Skywalker, or this story doesn't make any sense. I'm going to go back on what I've said now, and I'm going to say I've accepted the fact that she's not necessarily related to the Skywalker family. It's not my preference, but I do understand why they did it. And I do think in the long run, if they play it right, it can expand the Star Wars vernacular and create some interesting, fresh, which is important for a franchise that's 40 years old, things going on. It can still surprise us. And I think that was what Ryan was trying to do, and I think that succeeded. A lot of people are angry about that, but in the long run, I think it was important. And I applaud them for it.
Okie dokie. So the
Diatribe
Han
over.
Solo trailer drops tonight.
8 o'clock.
Is it a 2-minute trailer or is it just a 30-second teaser?
It is not a teaser. It is a full trailer.
All right.
So,
all right. There was another Infinity Wars. Was it trailer or just TV spot?
TV spot.
Revealing new footage.
Yeah, I'm done with the footage for the. Listen, we are exactly like 3 weeks away, less than right
I
now.
hear you. I didn't watch it, but I see that we're back to that thing again, where we're showing everything now as leading up to the movie.
Yeah, because now it's just TV spot after TV spot after TV spot, and I just can't. Yeah. I want there to be something left in the movie before we go see the movie that surprises me.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Chris, your girlfriend is not going with us to see Infinity War. Is
No.
that right? We didn't. Okay.
Yeah. No. There's no chance in hell.
Well, she didn't get a ticket, so now there's really no chance in
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
she could have but is she gonna be cool with like me, like geeking out in her house like all weekend because it's gonna be a geek fest.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, I bought an Infinity Gauntlet and I was planning on wearing it all weekend over in the house. Is that gonna be a problem? While I'm making my breakfast and she's
Yeah.
like,
You
"What?"
know, my woman's not going to be able to not look at you and just make some sort of comment. Okay. You know how that's going to go.
I mean, I'm gonna be like super geeky. I can't help it. And
Yeah.
I kind of feel like she's just gonna be like, "Oh, is he gone yet?" She's gonna be
Yeah.
like the new Scooties
Well,
for
what
me.
you have to imagine is my shit's going to be in her place too, and my dogs are going to be rolling around in their diapers. And
Did you get the diapers?
yeah, we did a
And
test.
did you apply them?
Yeah. Unfortunately, like I said before, she's putting this shit on like a corset. So,
so, so Ferg's like lower half is like is like numb all the time because like when she takes it off, it's like taking off a tourniquet, and all of a sudden
like,
his like
you
legs
just see
return to
the
normal
blood
function.
start flowing back to those other extremities. Because yes,
So
so
are you
she put it on Scooties, like, and I sat there and I put it on. No, I actually put it on him, and she goes, no, it's too loose. And I'm like, no, it's good. And then she put it on. Scooty's kill. He was walking like he was like tilting back and forth, trying to walk with his back legs. And then I looked at her, and then I think I made her feel guilty, and she loosened it up a little bit. But
okay?
so
So did they use it properly? Is it going to work out for
yeah,
baby's
I think
face?
it's going to work out well. I
Which
mean,
one is better, the wrap or the diaper?
the wrap,
Now,
the wrap.
why is the wrap better?
Well, the wrap just kind of it just it circles in her body. You're just and it has this tight Velcro,
So they
and
have
all you
more
have to
freedom of movement with their legs with the wrap.
yeah they
Okay.
do, and you're really just trying to cover the penis. Now Ferg's penis seems to be able to get out of anything, so this is
It's a
actually
wily coyote, that little one.
so to get his thing like encapsulated was like the goal,
Right.
and so it worked. It worked. So you kind of let him walk around and
He doesn't slip out of it like he did the old one.
no.
Oh, good.
And that's the thing about it. We kept doing like little penis checks, to make sure that they were still enclosed. But I think
Now
it's
that
going to
only
be
works. The wraps only work for like urine, right? Like if he goes poo, that's not going to stop that because there's no
no,
like
that's not good.
back part.
And I wouldn't be comfortable with that there because I mean, if you get diarrhea, what's going to happen? I
So
mean,
he walks around with poo on his butt. I mean, I've seen him throw it up and eat it. So I don't think
oh,
that
okay,
would really bother him.
that's so gross. Okay, I'm just saying you're going to have poo in a diaper or diarrhea. It's going to seep out.
Would
It's going
you?
to
Would you rather have poo in the or diarrhea in the diaper or on the carpet or the hardwood floor of the house?
the hardwood floor where you can just wipe it up. I
Oh,
mean,
for
that's
God's
the
sake!
yeah,
You
yeah.
are those dogs' total bitch. That's what you are. Usually the dogs are the bitches. You're the bitch in that house.
So Scooty's got he no longer has his underbite now. He now has
Right.
vampire teeth. That's what it looks like now.
So are they under the bottom teeth are the vampire teeth or the top teeth are the vampire teeth?
The bottom teeth are the vampire teeth. He's got these two side teeth that point up. So when his mouth is closed, they kind of just stick up. They're like vampire teeth.
Well, that's kind of cute.
Yeah. He still has a different look about him, and but whatever else, he's managing. He's still eating, give it or
Good.
take. So yeah,
Now that we've bored everyone to death.
you'll be up. The dogs will be over there wearing diapers. The stuff will be moved into the house. She's got a big race, and we're going to a movies. It's going to be a lot of stress.
Where's her race at?
I don't know, Akron, Canton, something like that.
Okay. Is it Saturday?
Yeah. So or Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's
So are
gonna
you telling
probably
me I
be.
have to be out of the house by like 8 o'clock on Sunday morning? Is that what you're basically saying? Probably Saturday night.
No, you don't have to be out of the house, but I don't know if you can be walking around with like a flask of vodka, being like, "Ah, Infinity Wars is so great."
I don't know why you're always trying to tether me. I don't know why you're always
Yeah,
trying to keep
yeah.
me down.
I don't want her coming down and going, listen, I told you I have a race tomorrow. Now, if you guys can't, I don't want to have that because you're going
Okay.
to have to be like this. Yeah, babe, I'm so sorry. We're so sorry. We'll keep it down.
I'm like, Chris, get me another vodka. Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
All right.
anyway, I'm excited for Infinity War, though. I have to admit.
Yeah, if we can just make it to the movie without being spoiled. Are you going to go do any kind of like? Because I don't think the actual review embargo breaks until like 3 days
Oh,
before the movie.
am
So
I going to
that's
read any
actually good.
reviews?
Well, they're not going to be released until like 3 days before the movie, which is unusual. Sometimes they, up to 2 weeks in advance, they usually release this stuff. But
Yeah,
I'm kind of grateful because then I don't have to block my Twitter for like 2 weeks.
yeah. I don't. I've already made a determination of how I feel about it, so I don't necessarily need to read a review.
But you're
Um,
going to hear buzz or something. You're not going to be able to remove
well,
yourself from the
I like to
entire
hear
thing.
positive buzz. That don't get me wrong. I rather hear something positive than negative. I don't necessarily always believe the positive, but I rather go in if I'm going to be paying money to see it. I rather be excited to go in
What if
it
the
and
buzz is negative? Like, will you be bummed? Like, its chances are that it won't be. But I mean,
well, if it is, I would kind of be like, huh, well, why is it like what about it would make me curious because I've seen the Russo brothers movie. What are they doing that would somehow I don't know. It would be slim to none for me. Not to mention you have good actors in the film, from Chris Pratt to Robert Downey to Hemsworth to Evans. They're able to sell this shit. So it
that's
won't
the
be some.
problem, though, really, is that there's so many characters that are they going to be able to? My concern is, are they going to be able to give everyone a satisfying, story in the movie? You can't just have people standing around looking like glamorified extras just because they're on the team. They need to do something to contribute to the actual war or
You're
what
right.
have you.
It can be very difficult because then you're just like, oh, so that was the one scene where Rocket Raccoon comes in, he makes a joke, and then we don't see him for the next hour.
Right.
You know, It- it's very difficult.
It is difficult. I mean, it can be done, but it's not going to be. It, it's not going to be like any Marvel movie we've seen because of the very fact that there's so many different various types of characters together.
Well,
And I
what?
also hope that they're able to keep each characters as we've known them sort of like their voice. Like, I don't necessarily want them all to feel like homogenized because they're all written by different people than the ones that created the characters or made the first movies. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want them to lose their sort of like uniqueness just because they're in a property that they all have to sort of play a part in.
Yeah, I got that. I mean, I think another issue also is, I lost my train of thought. What's the deal? Oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm losing my train of thought.
Alzheimer's, old man.
Some sort of dementia. In terms of the pecking order, forget it,
Yeah.
Bill. I forget it.
The
I
fuck's
just can't.
going on over there?
I don't know. I'm looking out the window, looking at a squirrel, and then my mind
Really
went blank. I don't know.
ridiculous. Okay.
It is ridiculous. Let's move on.
Okay.
All right, what else we got?
Um, I don't know. You tell me. You're the ringmaster.
Yeah, I don't really have much. I had this other article I was going to pull up, but I'm not going to do it. Carl Urban is joining the boys. It's a
Ugh,
comic
don't
book
even
for the
get me
people
started.
out there. It's a very racy book. We don't need to talk about that. The Russos brothers wrote a letter to the MCU fans. Um,
Asking them not to spoil the movie. And you sent me a text that was kind of like angry about it. I was like, why are you angry about them writing that letter?
I don't like being told what to do.
They're not telling you what to do. They're asking you not to be a dick and ruin the movie for everybody who hasn't seen it on the day one.
They shouldn't be asking me something that everybody should already know.
Well,
I was just,
have
I
you
was,
ever been to Twitter? Twitter is
I,
a cesspool.
I was just kidding on that one.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, that's nice of them to write it. It's very difficult in today's age for that to happen. I
Yes,
mean,
it is, which is probably why they wrote it
and the
because they
fact is
realized.
that you're asking people not to do it actually only it like makes the trolls want to do it more. So,
I
I
don't
mean,
know. Of course, Signs was what, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
They kept,
Sixth
or
Sense.
Sixth
Sixth
Sense. They kept
Sense
that
would make,
secret, but that was before Twitter and the internet. So yeah,
yeah. Think Sixth Sense would make it now?
I don't know. I would like to think yes, but I probably would say no. Um, did you see Zoe Saldana's comments about Hollywood elitists saying that the MCU actors have sold out?
No. Who said that they sold out?
She didn't name names in the article. She just said there's a certain faction of people who are like that look down their noses at
And
people
the
who.
certain faction I would assume would be other actors
Right.
like your Daniel Day Lewis's. No offense, not that he said it,
Right.
but I'm just
Right. Well,
saying it.
she's like, when I'm at parties and stuff and people bring it up, like it's like they sort of have this tone in their voice or there's this attitude that their blockbuster actors are not as good as theater or drama or Academy Award winning actors. And that they're basically selling their you've had this complaint. They're basically selling their souls for a dollar.
Well, it's true. I would never say that they're not good actors, but the material that you're giving to me, don't tell me that they're stretching their legs on. I don't give me this shit that somehow before you stop me and say, I believe that Chris Evans when he was crying that I really felt it. I'm not saying that they're not good actors, but the roles that they're given, don't tell me that somehow like these roles are somehow like they're really stretching their legs at it.
That's
Okay,
not the
I
issue.
don't fucking buy fucking Ant-Man sitting there playing his role as the criminal, going like this. Oh, I really believe him as this criminal with this story of his daughter. I've never seen such acting. He really sold it to me. And
That
then
isn't
all of a
really
sudden he shrunk down and fought with Yellow Jacket. I really felt the battle. Like I can,
that isn't really the issue. The issue is that people think they are better than them because they don't do those types of movies, even though, if Marvel were to call up Daniel Day
well,
Lewis.
Bill, when you're showing up, I mean, this would be your pocketbook argument. When what's his name? What's his name? Rudd, Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my girlfriend thinks Paul Rudd. Or no, who's the guy that plays the Hulk?
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I think she defines Mark Ruffalo attractive. Um, anyway, when you show up with your Ant Man movie with Paul Rudd, it may have made a ton of money, but nobody's sitting there going like this. Oh man, Ant Man! Wow, that's fucking Oscar-winning material.
You're you're you're
Nobody's
you're
impressed by that.
you're
Nobody's impressed.
you're missing the point of the whole
What's
article.
the
The
point?
whole the point is that people are saying the actors are selling out and that they're not respecting their craft or whatever because they do these big kinds of crowd pleasing movies. And her response to it is what's interesting is that she's like, I could do a lot worse in my career and have done a lot worse in my career than play a part in which I'm able to go to a hospital to a sick child who loves my movie and loves my character. And I go up to that kid and put a smile on their face because of Gamora and she recognizes me as that character. And, there are people who get money for charities and stuff based on these kinds of parts. And that these actors are actually doing a whole lot with their fame and fortune that they've gotten from these roles and that they should be applauded for them instead of being told they're kind of like selling out. Because if she
Oh,
can put a smile on a child's face, she feels is more important than whether, somebody thinks she deserves an Oscar. And
I find that
I completely agree.
you're like Fox News. You're just trying to find some story to back up your shit, justify the fact that they're doing some bullshit, popcorn, empty calorie fucking movies.
Well,
Okay, that's
here's
fine.
here's
You're,
here's
you're, you're sitting there going like this. The fact is that there's a lot of children that are sick in the hospital, love Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. And when he comes in there, they light up their faces. And if Paul Rudd was doing of Spice and Moon and Stars, they wouldn't know it. But yet Paul Rudd is doing Ant-Man, and therefore he's bringing smiles and joys to the children's faces. I mean, honestly, Bill,
as a
that's great.
person, as a
That's
47-year-old person who is a very much in touch with his inner 5-year-old, I can tell you what movies in my collection get repeatable viewing and which ones don't. And if I buy a $20 Blu ray and I want to watch it 3 or 4 times a year, that is saying something to me about whether, you could say, well, I'm just an immature idiot. You could say that. But to me, it
I,
says, these things give me a lot of joy. And those
I
are the things I want to spend my time on.
listen. I wouldn't say that. I understand the enjoyment of it, but if we're talking once again about the craft, don't tell me that I'm going to be sitting there and nominating the one guy from Ant-Man because he's in the movie and it brings joy to children. Okay,
It's not about
we're talking
that.
about
It's
the
just about
craft.
that they're not selling out.
When we're talking about the craft in and of itself, if you do fucking Pirates of the Caribbean, don't come to me about sitting there going, I put smiles on children's faces and it made a ton of money. Your craft, nobody's buying your fucking acting in Pirates of the Caribbean when you're doing some lines going like this, I will destroy the world. Okay, that's not advancing the craft, Bill. Okay, it's not.
No one
So,
said it's advancing the craft, Jay.
so if the people are looking
Even Zoe
down on it
Saldana doesn't
saying
say it's
you're
advancing the
not,
craft. I don't
wait,
know why
what?
everything has to. Zoe Saldana didn't say it advanced the craft. It's not about advancing the craft. It's providing entertainment value for a huge swath of people. And how many people you get to provide that entertainment to might be a more important barometer for some actors than whether they get called down on the Oscar awards or not. And I don't think that that's a bad
Oh, so
thing at
now
all.
what we're seeing is the Oscars and being represented by your peers is no longer the goal. Now it's just
Never
whether or
said
not
that.
some kids are happy.
Never said that.
Now you're
What
denigrating the
I'm saying,
Oscars. That's no longer important to these actors that they get
never
one.
said that. What I'm saying is it's not less important that they don't if they find something within um, their career path that brings people a lot of joy. I think that ultimately it would probably be super for them to have both, but I
Let's
think one or the
let's
other,
let's cut the
I think
bullshit.
one isn't necessarily
Let's
exclusionary for the other.
cut the bullshit acting like this is some sort of altruistic something that they're doing because I'm doing Ant-Man with Marvel because I really want to make the kids happy. Out of the fact that they're making tons of money and they have a fucking guaranteed series, don't tell me that this is all just fucking charity.
No,
I
Jay,
mean,
it's not charity, but it is a movie like people who are like Paul Rudd, who's 49 years old and has two kids, aren't able to go see his adult comedy movies or his adult drama movies because he feels like the level of maturity is beyond them at this age. Then he makes something like Ant-Man and they become heroes to their classmates and they're like, fuck, obviously not saying that, but like, they're like, Dad, you're freaking Ant-Man. I mean, I think to a 49-year-old parent of two kids, that would be a really cool thing. Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the reason why they do it.
uh-huh.
Some of them.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm sure when Marvel came to him and said to do it, and we could pay you this money, I'm sure the zeros behind it. When they start doing it for free, then call me up on the phone.
No one ever said it's about them doing it for
I mean,
charity.
I could see the
Do
benefits
it.
of doing the movie and going like this. Oh yes, I'm going to be doing this movie, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'll be in there animated, and my kids could go see it. Of course, I would be happy that my children could go see the damn movie. Don't act like I'm not getting paid for it, and don't act like somehow this is somehow going to be some sort of great stretch for my acting abilities.
No one,
I
I don't
mean,
know
these
why you
fucking
keep going
actors
back to the acting
pull
ability.
their
It's
ability.
the whole article isn't about that. The whole article is about the fact that they're just not selling themselves, whoring themselves out to some subpar product just so they can get a buck. That's really all it is. That that
Why
that
isn't it? Why can't it be that? What's so problem with that? It's America. It's capitalism. Yes, I'm selling out. You know what? I wish Kevin Feige would come to me and ask me to star in the movie. I'd be Black Panther stand-in. I don't care. Why not? I'm making money. This is what you've always said. I can go to Marvel and I can do Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and we're going to have a giant guy come with a giant helmet, and he's going to say some lines like, V5 where is Star Lord? Here I come. He can say those lines. And you'll sit there and spin around in your chair and say, we. But at the end of the day, they're all making billions of dollars, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and who cares? Or I could do a movie on the side called The Plants Don't Die, but the Sun Rises. And then it only makes $500,000. Who cares? I'm making cash. Isn't that what it's about? It's about capitalism at this point.
well, that's a very cynical way of looking at it, but okay.
What are they just doing it because they're for the love of film? They don't care if they make any money on it
They're
now.
doing it
It's
because they want to work and
it's called
they
show
want
business, is what you always
recognition.
tell me. It's
They
called
want to
show
work.
business.
They want to work, and they want to be because their body of work is their marketing thing. It's what they sell as themselves. So the more successful and the more people that are asses in seats that see them and know their name, the more hireable they become in the future. So yes, it's all about, you know, part of it is all about becoming, a successful enough actor that people want to hire you for other shit. Absolutely.
Let's cut the crap here. The bottom. This is what they're. It happens with all these people. We've discussed this before. You can do these popcorn flicks all you want. So either you embrace it like The Rock or Jason Statham, and you continue to do these giant screen festival movies, whatever else, whatever you want to call them. And then on the side, you do your indie projects to get your fill, to show the other people that you still have these chops and you can stretch your legs or do some Broadway plays. But you know what actually somehow pays the bills and you do it. And that what seems to be going on. I mean, because you got half these guys, Spider-Man, what's his name? Amazing Spider-Man going like, I've done this now. I need to do something else. Shia LaBeouf. They all feel like this, these movies don't challenge them. And the only problem when they get a thing is like they don't want to make the money. So either you accept the fact that you're not going to be challenged and you still can bring joy to people and put asses in seats or whatever else you want to. But then you got to do something on the side. If that's got to fill, I'm losing my train of thought again.
What, like they said in Spider-Man, in the Spider-Man scene in Civil War, when Spider-Man says, when you're a person that has these abilities or these powers or these, the celebrity or whatever you want to insert word here, and you don't use them for good, and then bad things happen, it's kind of on you. These people aren't getting paid. It's not part of their contracts that they go to the hospital and visit sick kids for their, you know, fulfilling their duties to Marvel. They do it because they are good people and it's out of the kindness of their hearts, which basically I'm trying to sell you is anti selling out. So,
So
that's the whole
we're
issue.
looking at this from two different angles here. So when you're saying there's no names mentioned here, that when she's at a party, there are certain elitists that are looking down at her. What do you imply that? Certain other actors in the field?
It implies to me that there are people in the acting community, in the Hollywood community,
Right. And
that
so when they're saying they look like they're selling them out, I'm assuming this means that the material that they're picking is not one of somehow that's pushing
artistic,
it.
significant, artistically meritful, meritus,
Yes.
whatever. Okay.
Yes. Right. And are they somehow wrong? Because you seem to be focused on the fact is that the people are doing something, but yet they give to other communities and children, but they're not saying that somehow that Chris Pratt is not helping out children. They're just saying that the material that you're picking is not really, well, what is your word? Artistic. Is not somehow like you're talking opposite a fucking raccoon and a guy
The
with the green skin.
implication is that they're selfish and self-centered for selling their souls to buy a part in a movie that gives them big money, but not a lot of art in return, or putting a lot of art out in the world. The implication is that they're not good people because they do this by selling their souls to get a buck. And
Okay,
the
well,
statement is
if that's the
that
way
they
you're
are good people.
if that's the way you're reading it, then I wouldn't disagree. I would agree with you that they're not bad people, but I would say if they're talking about the craft, I mean, it seems kind of fucking apparent. You know, these people aren't going to be nominating fucking Pirates of the Caribbean or the Transformers. They're not going to be nominating that shit, Bill.
And
That's elitist. And
and
I would expect anybody in that field. I would expect Paul Rudd. I don't care. I think they're all good actors. But don't tell me when you come with me the Ant-Man role that you would expect somehow to be nominated for a fucking Oscar.
this isn't
I'd
about
roll
the
over in my
Oscars.
grave before that happened.
Well, this is why the Oscars are going to become more and more, or have already become more and more insignificant to people. I mean, it's probably going to end up being so elitist, no one's really going to give a fuck in the end. Which it's
Do
really, it's
do
really
you have any
already
appreciation for
headed.
the acting craft? Is there any appreciation in terms of levels of acting? Or is it just anybody can just wake up and I can just pull up my iPhone camera and just start filming some people and say that's acting?
If I see a movie and I walk out of the movie theater having had an experience that delights me and makes me feel good and makes me want to see that movie again and makes me want to explore that universe further, then to me that's as good or better than any Oscar. So
You know what I do? I go with the people in the craft. When the people in the craft, the actors themselves are nominating somebody from Transformers, then wake me up. Okay?
okay.
Those people aren't doing it. When Paul Rudd gets nominated
Because they're elitist.
wait. When Paul Rudd gets nominated by his peers for Ant-Man, wake me up.
Okay.
Okay? I'm not giving
Fair
a
enough.
popularity contest of going like, "Oh, this is great. I enjoyed this movie." And so therefore everybody gets the highest award available that I could vote for.
Well, we're not going to have to worry about this too much longer because eventually all the movies that aren't blockbuster movies are going to be put onto Netflix and are all going to be disqualified from Oscar nominations anyway, and we'll all have to go with Emmys. And at which point, I won't even care. So
I know what you're bringing up. I know you want to just defend the people and their right to do the movies that they do. Okay,
I'm
that's
just
great.
saying. Listen,
I mean,
the
honestly,
awards are the awards are
why,
there for a reason. They're just not for me.
are, are those people wrong in saying that they're picking movies that are more artistic than Transformers?
Well, no, but they're saying
I'm not asking whether or not you enjoy the Transformers
no,
movie
they're
more.
but they're saying they're picking those movies is somehow more valuable to society or more relevant to the world in general than any movie that, you know, the Star Warsization of popular cinema. And I'm here to argue the exact opposite. Movies like Star Wars are the reason why there are multiplexes today. Movies like the Transformers, if you want to go there. I don't particularly love that franchise, but I don't think it
Okay.
shouldn't exist. Um, the movies like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. These are reasons why people even go to movies anymore. If it wasn't for these movies, no one's going to see Daniel Day Lewis's My Left Foot Part Two.
But
No one
Bill,
cares.
I understand the value of the movies. I would not say that the movies are somehow not valuable. They're clearly valuable. I'm not leaving my house to go see My Left Foot 2 or The Phantom Thread of Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm not leaving my house. I will leave my house to go see something like Infinity War Avengers on the big screen or to see something like the Justice League.
You and everybody else
That,
that actually spends
that,
money at movies.
that is actually very true. There's value to it in getting me out of this house to be entertained. I'm not going to go see some boring ass shit, The Tree of Life, in the fucking theater. But I do recognize that the actors that are putting out some of these movies, they're not somehow pushing their acting abilities are not being pushed or tested in these films. They don't require them to. They don't require just to read some general bland lines of going, I don't know how this will happen, but we will overcome. To the moon. That's what it is. They know this. They read the lines. They make their money. It's blockbuster. It's popcorn. We all know this. The ones where they're actually stretching their craft, there's some other shit that's nobody's going to see in the fucking theater. There is a difference. There is a difference between them doing that. And it's not to say that you can't have individual roles within these movies where they actually do some amazing fucking shit. But generally speaking, don't come to me with some sort of like Bradley Cooper really did a great turn as fucking Rocket Raccoon in the movie when he started crying about how like his marks on
Which
his
is more
bike.
significant to
Come on.
their contribution to the greater society. Um, Daniel Day
I'm
Lewis's
good.
Phantom
Let,
Thread.
let, listen, I'm not talking that. I'm talking acting ability.
I'm asking, but
I'm
I'm
not talking
asking,
about
which
whatever.
one is? Can you say which one, or do you think it's both or
Wait,
neither, or what?
wait, what? What's the question?
Which one is more significant culturally speaking, or you know,
That's going to
more
have more of an impact on society?
over the
Clearly,
long run and
Transformers.
have? Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm talking acting ability. When you're talking elitist, when
If a
you're
tree
sitting around,
falls
wait,
in an
wait, let me
empty
finish.
room,
When you're
yeah,
talking about like having the 15 actors in the room, and you're sitting there going, "So what have you done?" "Oh, I was in Ant Man." "Okay, what were you doing?" "My Phantom Thread." "Oh, the actors are not going to sit there and crawl around and be like this." "Oh, wow, that was a hell of a role you played in Ant Man. Those vodka jokes and everything else, oh, top notch." What are you going to sit there and be like, "Well, no, you know what? It made a lot of money, and a lot of people saw it, and there were a lot of kids that have cancer were very happy about my turn." They're not. They're going to be measuring each other and going like, who is a better actor, and that's how it's going to be viewed within that group. Who is the better actor, Bill? Not who made the much money and the cultural impact. I mean, you
first
can
of
take
all,
your
those
measurement.
things are subjective, and
The
anyone,
actors amongst themselves fucking know. I mean,
well,
we could be subjective about it, but don't give me some bullshit of walking into a room about Bradley Cooper playing fucking Rocket Raccoon standing next to Daniel Day Lewis and saying this is just a matter of opinion, but I
if
think my
you
turn as
get
Rocket Raccoon.
a
This
hundred
bullshit.
actors in a room and you get five nominees in the category, you're probably going to get 20 people voting for each one in that category.
Yes. That's
Um,
like when Jake Lloyd shows up with Hallie Joel Osment
so
and
there's
sitting down with
no
wait.
consensus.
When Jake Lloyd shows up with Hallie Joel Osment and fucking Daniel Day Lewis and Meryl Streep, is he going to be making the same argument that, hey, by the way, my movie was very popular and people brought it there, so my acting ability is just on par with yours? It's bullshit, Bill. Okay.
So here's the thing about this elitist nonsense. If a tree falls in the forest and no one hears or sees the tree fall, did it really fall?
Yes, it did fall.
Okay. Does anyone care that it fell?
If the point goes into the back, we're gonna get this is the part where Superfan Nadia is like, let it go, fellas. Let it go. All right. You've gone too long on this. I'm bored. I've already switched you off. I
Okay,
mean,
fair enough.
okay, we're gonna, but it's to me, it just seems I get where you're coming from, but if we're just stripping it down to acting, I don't know why you can't sit there and say there's different grades of acting. I understand we have different opinions as to what's good acting, but there's different grades on it, is there not? Or is it just all the same, Bill? Is all hamburgers taste the same?
I think Jay,
Is there a better
I
hamburger than
think if
another
Daniel
hamburger?
Day Lewis makes you feel certain feelings while you're watching The Phantom Thread, and Mark Hamill makes you feel certain feelings while you're watching The Last Jedi, then I don't think if Mark Hamill gives me the same feeling or the same intensity of a feeling that Daniel Day Lewis gave me in his performance, then I don't think I could say
Well, we're
one is
not
better than
talking
the other.
about what the audience thinks. The comment was about other elitist actors amongst their peers, Bill. Their peers, not what the audience, not what you think. It's their peers, other actors in the group.
So, because groupthink,
So when Bradley
obviously,
Cooper's hanging out with Chris Pratt and Robert Downey, they're judging themselves, not the audience, on what the audience thinks.
I think that there does tend to be groupthink in that situation as well. I think it tends to be one of those things where if you hear a lot of buzz and the buzz keeps growing about this movie, whether you saw the movie or not, you're going to have it in the back of your head. This guy must have given this kind of performance because everyone's talking about him in this movie. I might
You
vote for
know,
him.
Bill, you can show up at my party and it could be an education party, and I can have gone to Harvard or Yale, and you could show up with your, how do I say this, McKinsey University uh, degree. We're going to size each other up, and guess who's going to be ahead of the group?
I don't know who.
That's going to be my elitist attitude. I'm just saying,
Okay.
these people know the shit. I don't know why they just don't own up to it. Yes, I played a Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not necessarily my finest moment, but I've helped and done a lot of things for other people and made a ton of cash. And some other person is going to be sitting there going, well, I've won awards for my acting performance in The Tree, the Moon, and the Stars by several different people. And you sit there and go, well, that's great for you. Okay. I don't know why you don't sit there. Okay, that's good. You can have your attitude, whatever else. I can act. I'm choosing to use my abilities in this form and fashion. I don't have to sit there and show off in these other films. I can do it. I choose not to.
Jay, it's just like everything else in the world. Mine is better than yours. That's how the world works.
Yes.
Everybody's got to be better or one up than the next guy. And so that's just human nature. So there are always going to be people who are insulary and exclusionary of anyone else doing something that they don't necessarily find value in, and are always going to try to take down or reduce to less significance any somebody else's contribution to
I can
something that
say
they're
for the
being
most
done.
part, 80% of these movies that we go to see in the fucking theater, 90% of the people, I don't feel like the acting in there is anything that's necessarily putrid, but I don't think it's anything that's somehow extraordinary. I feel that it's just the people play the roles. I believe them in the roles. They don't pull me out of the roles. Chris Hemsworth does a good job acting in the roles of playing as Thor. Do I sit there and go, I know that Chris Hemsworth can act much better if giving a lot more meat on the sandwich? The answer to that would be yes. But the roles that he has given is not necessarily required of him. And so I recognize that. But I won't sit there and go like I give him some sort of like this is something I would show in a classroom of him of how good actors do. I would not show that. I would wait for something else he would do and they'd be like this. This is something where like, oh my God, this is amazing what he did here. Okay.
Okay,
And
we've been
usually
on
these
this.
you wait. Usually these roles are not within the popcorn superhero flicks. I think that's fair. It has nothing to do with enjoyment.
Okay,
I think it's just fair.
we need to move on. We've got 5 minutes, so we need to go on.
You got 5 minutes. You don't
Yes.
tell me I got five.
Well, this show, unless you're going to be talking to an empty mic, has 5 minutes. So let's move on.
I don't even know why you would bring this up here. You know how I feel about this subject.
Okay. Well, we've been on it for long enough that I think that you've expressed your opinion rather clearly.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
make you. I'm gonna make you eat my opinion. That's
This is your problem. This is the problem. This is exactly what Zoe Saldana is talking about. But
you
let's
get
move
my
on.
blood pressure. This is exactly what you do. You get my blood pressure up with subjects like this. I purposely didn't bring up any subjects dealing with some sort of social, political type of bit, but yet you bring up some sort of thinking. I think this Zoe Zaldan said something nice about their roles of helping out children, and so the people just need to ignore them and let them do Ant-Man 5, the search for other ants, and be happy with it that they're bringing joy to the world. You knew that would get under my skin. You
And
knew
it has been under your skin for about 35 minutes. So we need to let the skin heal itself with some
going
absolutely
Cujo.
intensive care
I'm
and
going
move on.
Cujo. Going Cujo. Anyway, we're here with the
Okay.
box office, the weekend box office mojo set. I'm
Yes.
going to take it down a couple notches for our
Thank you.
people out there.
Okay.
April 6th through April 8th, 2018.
Okay.
Episode 64. The number one movie, which I didn't get a chance to see this weekend because my woman doesn't do horror, A Quiet Place.
And this is Jason Blum. Am I right?
I don't know if it's a Bloomhouse.
I believe it is. Because didn't you already tell me this is like this year's
Get Out.
Get Out? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
didn't know if you meant that figuratively or literally, but
No,
if I'm
I
not
think
mistaken.
it's the fact is that it's a movie that doesn't cost a lot of money, and it seems to be getting a lot of like accolades from.
Well, who's that guy? That's got to be Jason Blum.
Okay.
Jason Blum can take shit and turn it into Shinola.
Isn't this
Not
one?
that this movie shit, but
It's directed by John Krasinski, your boy.
right. Because, it cost 50 cents. All you had to do was get his wife and, a bunch of kids with, some cabin someplace, and really there's hardly any dialogue, just a bunch of people whispering all the time. Then you add the rest of it, like sound effects and post. Boom. $10.
Why are you disrespecting the movie?
I'm not. I'm not disrespecting it.
You're disrespecting it
I'm
as
saying,
if somehow there was. I watched Insidious 3 or 4, The Last Key, also a Bloomhouse thing, and it wore on me so badly that it's just like this genre has been run into the ground now. This series, it was just pointless, and what was once original has now become unoriginal. And so I look
I'm
forward.
saying it's the Kevin Smith school of making movies. It's, the modern day Roger Corman. If you make something for so little amount of money, there's virtually no way it can't succeed.
Okay, so what do you say about A Wrinkle in Time then? A Quiet Place made $50 million, by the way, Bill,
Right. A
in its
Wrinkle in
first
Time
opening
cost
week.
like $200 million, and it didn't make that kind of money back.
A
So
Wrinkle
that
in Time has been out 5 weeks and it's only made $86 million.
right.
What's
It
what's
means sometimes you win some and sometimes you lose some, but they invested certainly a lot of money in it to make it happen. Didn't happen like that. Doesn't always happen like that. You can't
right?
just throw
So the
money and
fact is
hopefully
that
it
they
always
only
works out.
invested 10 cents in this movie, then therefore it means what then?
It means that this movie was made for so little that there was virtually no risk. When you make a movie that costs $200 million, there's always a risk that, if people don't turn out in X amount of numbers, then it's not going to be what you need it to be to make its money back. If you make something that costs $10, you, your girlfriend, and her two kids could go see it, and it becomes a hit.
I don't know if we call it a hit. And the fact is that people seem to like the movie, which has drove up the price if it's there. So obviously, if the people didn't like the movie, you could sit there and say, well, it still made money because just a curious person just walked into a theater and it made 5 million. It only cost 100,000 to make, so it's made its money over and over. But the movie's actually getting accolades that A Wrinkle of Time didn't even fucking get.
Sure.
You're
Either
getting
way, it
people.
doesn't necessarily mean because it gets accolades that it's going to succeed financially, or that if it doesn't succeed financially, that it's going to get accolades. I just say the same thing twice.
Yeah, you did.
Um. Okay. Well, you know what I meant.
I don't know why.
Um.
The problem is you're always dissing the movie because somehow if they don't spend $200 million, then of course they made money,
I
and
don't know
therefore
why the fact that
therefore their success is somehow like not because of the quality of the movie. It's just the luck of the draw that people just went and saw A Quiet Place and A Wrinkle of Time. That's just you win some, you lose some. The movie looked like it sucked, but A Quiet Place you won't even give any type of you won't even throw anything to it that maybe that they have an original take on an old thing or something, or it's filmed differently. You're not even looking at that. You're just like, it
but
costs 10 cents.
all I'm
So
all I'm
therefore
saying
I have
is
to ignore it.
I'm not. That's not why I'm ignoring. I'm ignoring it because it's not my. It doesn't interest me. It's not in my wheelhouse. It doesn't look like something I would want to sit through or watch. That's why I ignore it. I'm only saying the fact that it made a lot of. It cost $10 is because essentially, comparatively speaking, it was low. This is what Jason Blum's entire career and studio success is built upon: is that he makes super low budget movies that are very in a genre that is very has a very low bar as far as financial success, and that it's difficult then for him to make a movie that doesn't make money in the same way that it's difficult for Tyler Perry to make a movie that doesn't make money because all his movies cost $10 too. But if a Tyler Perry movie comes
The
out, there's a
movie
certain
made
fan base that's going to run to it and make
the
it
movie,
successful.
the movie made $50 million on its opening weekend. There's been a lot of movies that have made less money that cost twice as much, Bill. There clearly is an audience for it. And I don't think the audience went out because it was Bloomhouse. It was because whatever the trailer was, it seemed of interest to people, unlike A Wrinkle in Time. Which, by the way, for all the whole success that you talk about, it's based on a best selling book which has a built in audience. And where did
That
that get it?
came out 50 or 40 years ago, and these kids today can barely read their phones. You think these kids today know what A Wrinkle in Time is?
So, what's the excuse for Quiet Place, which has no type of connection to anything? Original story.
Horror movie came out when there wasn't much competition out that weekend.
Ready Player
Uh,
One?
that was last weekend, or 2 weeks ago, maybe.
No, it's last weekend.
Okay, so I mean, it doesn't have much competition in its opening weekend, I guess. Yeah.
Wow. To get a compliment out of you, it's almost like you're an elitist when it comes to $200 million movies. That's exactly what you are. Okay? That's what you are.
I'm not
You
saying
have
it's
no
not
room for these
successful.
small movies that cost $10 million. They're not invited to the party because you need to have these effects that are like smashing by ILM. If they don't have it, then you're just like, of course, these paltry movies are, of course, are successful. That's exactly what you are. You're an elitist on the opposite end.
No, I'm
We're
not.
taking big risk over here because we're making $200 epic films, Ten Commandments, Ishtar style. Okay, it's a lot more difficult where we're at.
Well, I would suggest that that's an accurate statement.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is more difficult to spend money on a project that's huge, employing thousands of people and high profile and costumes and sets and visual effects. And yeah, it's a bigger investment for the studio because there's bigger
And
money at
isn't
risk.
it always a shock to find out that somebody's more interested in a more simple story than a whole bunch of bodies just smashing up on the screen, seeing some sort of like empty lines? Isn't that amazing?
It's well, there's hardly any lines in
By
the
the way,
movie,
you got a
so
wrinkle in time. We've got Zach Galifianakis, we got Rick Witherspoon, we've got Oprah, we've got Pine, we got Chris. We have all the great actors in here. Look, they're doing funny things, and it's a wrinkle in time, and it's Disney. Isn't this what you want? How could
sometimes
it not
Jay,
be successful?
they
By the
do
way,
this.
are they investing $200 million not to lose money? Isn't that the whole goal?
So here's the thing: go big or go home. Sometimes they do a swing and they get a miss. Not everything is going to be, you know, the next Marvel movie. But I personally am of the old
So the
school
50
that
million for Quiet Place before we move on to number two, you're just like that's just of course
I
it's
don't.
see, of course it made 50 million because it was the only other movie out there and everybody likes horror and you know 50 million.
All I can tell you, I can't tell you whether it's worth the 50 million or whether it's worth 2 million. All I can tell you is it didn't appeal to me, and that's all I can say.
I can tell you right now, if fucking Glass comes out what next year?
January 19th.
Yeah, when Glass comes out and makes 50 fucking million on the opening weekend, don't come to me and be like this. Oh my god, that's a great opening weekend for M Night Shyamalan movie. It made 50 million opening weekend. That's exactly what you be. You be sitting there going like this. It's one of his biggest openings weekends. They're like it's a hit. It's loved by the critics. That's what you would be saying.
I
But the fact that
hope
it's a quiet place and some other thing over here, you're just like this, 50 million. I don't know. There's nothing else going on. This is exactly. I'll save this podcast. I'm gonna mark it down, episode 64, where you're throwing shade at 50 million for opening weekend for a movie that costs 10 cents as nothing. As
I
nothing.
did
We'll
not
see.
say it was nothing. I said it was a lesser risk because it costs less to make. And so, yes, they did greater than expected, but it's still putting shine on, a dime.
What does it matter? Isn't that great? If you told me you could
It's
make a
better that it
Wrinkle in
made some money
Time,
than not,
if
not
you could
any,
told me that you
sure.
can make Wrinkle Time for less than 200 million, what is the studio going to say? No, no, we want to spend 200 million.
They're going
Well,
to say for
no.
this, they're going to say for this kind of level of a project, it has to be done for X amount of money. Yeah.
Right. And a person says, "Well, what's going to cost?" Well, 200 million, but I think we could do a 150. No, no, spend the 200 million. What the fuck are you talking about? Of course they're going to want to spend less. Why would I want to spend more and increase my risk? I want to do it for less, but if I can, then I have to.
Well, there's room for that. It's called Netflix.
You're trying to piss me off on my Sunday afternoon. That's what you're trying to do. I'm not going to allow you to do
But
it.
here's the
I'm going
interesting
to find
thing:
my zen. I'm going to
you
find
want to
my
get
zen.
all up in arms about a movie that you didn't even want to see bad enough to actually take your fucking $10 and your girlfriend on your Saturday or Sunday or Friday evening and fucking go see it. So
Bill,
you're
I'm so
all
sorry.
crazy about it, but it wasn't enough to get you out of the house either.
I'm not stressing what I haven't seen the movie. I'm excited about seeing the movie,
So
but I
because
don't know.
everybody
I
says,
don't know
and
why
because
the
the
fact
box
that the
office
movie
says,
cost 10 cents and the fact that it made 50 million has anything to do with anything. The fact is that the movie still pulled in 50 million, no matter
so
what
because
the cost
everybody
is.
saw it,
Because I can
Jay,
tell you right now, if A Wrinkle in Time would have pulled in 50 million, they would have been just as happy over there because that's pulling in some fucking big money, no matter what the cost.
so because everybody says that the movie is great and that the performances are astounding in
No,
it, so then you want to get up in arms when
no,
somebody
no,
goes, "Oh, I don't know." Just because
I'm
everybody loves it doesn't mean I will.
I'm saying on the number, it pulled in $50 million in movies that had more press, more advertisement, more, whatever you want to call it, actors or whatever else, didn't pull in that money. And it's good money. 50 million is a good opening weekend. And
I'm
I'm
not
just
saying that. Here's what I am saying. I'm not impressed. Let's move on. I'm
Pacific
sorry.
Rim. Do you know how much Pacific Rim Uprising pulled in domestically?
I know it didn't do well, which I'm not surprised about because the first one didn't do well.
Yeah, it's been out for 3 weeks and it's only pulled in 54 million.
Well, it
So
must be.
don't tell me that it's not somehow significant. You these blockbusters you're talking about, this has pulled in good money. Instead of recognizing, saying that's a good hit for them, you sit there and you downplay it by going, "Well, they pulled in 50 million, but it only cost 10 million." It's 50 million fucking dollars that these guys that are spending 150 million dollars on movies didn't pull in. They would want that money, Bill. It's money.
Okay. I changed my mind. You were right. I am wrong. I am impressed. That is a hell of a lot of money. Thank God. Good for them. Let's move on.
Okay, I'll take that. I'm not going to take that as sarcasm and that you're just saying that to placate me. I'm going to take that as truth. You fucking damn right I'm right.
It's more
Number
important.
two,
Go
Ready
ahead.
Player One in its second week pulls in another 25 million, bringing its total worldwide to 391 million.
That seems like a significant. I thought I read somewhere that this was Spielberg's most financially successful movie in like a decade or something. That's good to
Oh,
hear.
it's kind of a shocker. Nobody really is going to see a Bridge of Spies or War Horse. So, I mean, you find something that speaks to the people. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's not a shocker. What about
I'm
that
just
pedophile movie? What's that with the giant? Didn't how did that do?
BFG. It didn't do very well.
BFG didn't that didn't do well with the
I don't know
people?
why you think. Did you see the BFG?
No, I didn't. I don't
Okay.
watch movies like that.
Well, because it's about a pedophile. But you
Oh,
watched Call Me by Your Name, so that's a lie. Uh
that's
huh.
funny. Okay, number three, blockers. John
Right.
Cena.
Which is actually cock blockers. Is that what that's supposed to be with the
Yeah,
chicken?
I guess so.
Okay.
It's whatever. Bad Mom's Christmas. It pulled in 21 million. It cost 21 million to make. Made 10 million overseas, so it's up to
I'm
32
kind of
million
surprised that
total.
it wasn't more successful because when I was in the movie theater, I don't know if I was with you when the trailer came on, the first time I saw the trailer, or someone else, but the audience was like lapping that shit up with a spoon. And I have to admit, I laughed at the trailer, which I usually don't find comedy trailers to be very funny at all. Um, but I kind of thought it was going to be like a sleeper, and I'm not. I mean, maybe it is, and it's just like really slow. I mean, it could be going the Greatest Showman route,
Yeah,
perhaps,
well,
but it
fucking,
just.
they'll probably
I
end up
thought,
making more money than A Wrinkle in Time. I mean, it's already a third of the way there in one
wow.
week. So, I mean,
I don't know why you have so much hate for A Wrinkle in Time. I don't. I'm not sure exactly why that's so personal for you.
it's personal because I said it looked like crap, but I couldn't understand the fact that they were advertising it the way they were. And to me, it was everything that I fucking hate about when they do shit like this, where you have Zalk Galifianakis in a trailer acting stupid and Reese Witherspoon acting a certain way, and it's like you've seen them act before, but they're out there just acting kooky, Johnny Depp style, because they're trying to sit there and go like this. Look, we're in here in this role playing something that's like against our type, and we're funny in it, and they're trying to be so desperate to be like, hey, look at us. It's just so pathetic. It's like that whole person that's like, "Hey, just be cool and we'll come to you," but you're trying to like overplay it, and it just looked bad. It looked bad, and it had everything to work for it. Everything, money, stars, all that. Nothing. Crickets. Crickets. I could told you if the studio would have had it told me, I would have said, we're not greenlighting this shit. We were not greenlighting it. I'm sorry. Come back again. Number four, Black Panther.
Wow, that's still up number four. Fuck.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It pulled in another it's finally slowing down. It
Oh
pulled
fuck
in
it. Just
like
give all the money to Black Panther. Black
eight
Panther
million
gets all
dollars.
the money.
Yeah, it pulled in another $8 million.
Okay.
So yeah. Number five, a movie I have not heard of called I Can Only Imagine. It looks like a religious film.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard of it, but I'm not, like really
Yeah,
seen the
it
story.
cost 8 million to make, Bill. Its domestic total is 69 million. By the way, you haven't heard of I Can Only Imagine, but it's only 20 million behind A Wrinkle in Time. There you go.
Sometimes
How
you
about
swing,
that?
and
Maybe if they
sometimes
would have
you
put
miss.
Chris Pine and I Can Only Imagine, they could have maybe doubled their money.
Sometimes you swing and sometimes you miss, Jay. Not everything is going to be what the studio and the people who made the movie had hoped it would be. Does that mean they should never make another movie that's a fantasy and over the top and have costumes and budget and do something, with a
No,
black girl as a
that's not what
lead,
I'm
or
saying.
what are we saying?
I don't have a problem with their making a $200 million movie, but I have a problem with somehow if a movie costs 10 million and it makes a lot of money that it's throwing shade that they didn't have a risk in it. So I think that's where it's. I don't have a problem with them making 200 million, but if I make
Jay,
a
I
movie
don't see
for
why you don't
if I
see
make a
that.
movie for $10 million and it pulls in 500 million, I don't know why that's somehow not considered successful.
It
I don't know
is.
why
It is considered success.
why do you look at my movie as well? It only cost 10 million, so it made $500 million, so whatever. You didn't spend a
Because
lot of.
the risk is low. If the movie comes out and it made $10 million, I don't believe we're still talking about this, and it makes 5 million. What is the studio out for their losses if it makes half of what it cost
Yeah, put a
to make?
period on it. Put a period there. So
Okay,
if they make a $10 million movie and it
and it makes
makes
5 million,
half
they
a billion,
lose $5 million.
wait.
Low risk,
It makes a $500 million.
big
Okay,
reward,
big reward.
or low
Isn't that's
risk.
what they want?
Of course, that's what they want.
Right. So let
But
me get
you
this straight.
can't maintain an
Let me get this
industry.
straight. Wait. Let me get this straight. So I have a movie that costs 10 cents and I pull in $500 million. Is not everybody happy? Or do we sit there around a table and go like this? Well, we didn't take any risk on it, so of course it's all profit. Or do we sit there and celebrate and roll around in the $500 million we make?
You're not
Or do we
celebrating
sit
as
here and go
much.
like this? Do we sit around and go, we've spent 200 million and our movie made 750 million, so we made 500 million, and we took big risks to do it. So therefore, we should be very happy about this 500 million because we took a risk and made it.
Well,
Now, I'm
Jay,
not going to be as happy with the other 500 million because we didn't take enough risk in a quiet place.
you do the math. If you can make 500 million on a $10 million investment, and then you can make $2 billion on a $200 million investment, there you go.
I just have to wait long enough for one of your fucking movies to come out by M. Night or somebody else that costs 10 cents and make 300 million. And then you're going to sit there and change your tune and talk about like, this is good money for this movie here. I mean, it's amazing what this movie has done for the studio. It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. I just have to wait for it.
Okay. It's about 6 months, 8 months between now and Glass. Well, that's loud and abrupt.
I noticed
I
that.
think that's the end of the show.
Yeah, that's the end of the show right there. I'm gonna have to go have some tea, and I'm gonna have to sit down and take a bath because you got my blood pressure up at the end of the day.
You're ridiculous, first of all. Okay. Because I don't find value in it doesn't mean it doesn't have any value. Obviously.
Objectively, it has value. It pulled in $50 million. I don't know why you can't say that that's good money.
I did say it was good money. I also said I don't care. I said both at the same time. You just didn't want to hear the second part. I'm sorry.
This is why our show can never make it to the big leagues. This is why. Right here. It's off the rails. Our producer's just like, there's somebody in my ear going, you should have just cut this segment. Like, just cut this segment. I'm like, fuck
and
you.
Now
producer.
you know why we
This
call
is how we're rolling. This is
empty
how
room productions. We play to an empty room because no one wants to hear our fucking maniacal rambling.
Well, Bill, at least you got my energy up so I can go
Well, good.
finish cleaning out the other stuff. What are you watching tonight?
I think we're going to do Jessica Jones and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Trading Places, of all things.
Okay. I think I have some movie called Aleppo.
Did it make 50 million in its opening weekend?
No, it didn't make it. Yeah, no, not quite. No. Technically, it's lasted been in my house for 3 days here. It's called The Last Men in Aleppo.
And who's in it?
Oh, nobody. It's like a documentary about like some first responders in Syria.
Woo! Well, that certainly sounds like an entertaining evening.
Yeah, not to mention it's subtitles because it's the language is Arabic. So
You are just multicultural. You are. Yes, you are.
I rather watch The Accountant tonight. So, but I mean, I gotta watch it eventually. I just don't know about it, Bill. So your night sounds a lot fun.
Put that shit back in the envelope and send it back.
I know. I might not watch it tonight. I may just go get my Chipotle and find another film to watch tonight.
Nothing
So
sounds like a Sunday evening enjoyment ready for the work week, setting you up more than a first responder team in, where is it? Syria?
yes,
Okay.
I know. So, what should I call this? What should I call this?
I would just say ramblings of two men and a mic. 'Cause that's
I
what
get
it is.
that. I think I'm going to make it with something about money. Bill thinks that 50 million is.
Yes, that's actually where you want to get. Let's find less people to download the show. Why don't we?
All right, my friend. I will
All right.
call you at
I will
another
talk to you.
time. To our fans, thank you for listening to the ramblings of two men and with two mics. I've been your co-host Payne,
I'm Bill.
and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.